Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Woo-wee! What is up? It is game week. Finally, game week. What, like 340 some odd days?
Too many.
How many? How many days? I don't know. Way too many days since the Georgia Bulldogs have played football. They got it going on this weekend, as does the rest of college football. And we have a jam-packed, loaded show for everyone tuning in tonight. But I'm going to start today, as we are brought to you and powered by BetUS. I want to start today with this word. I always bring you a nice little word of the day. Today's word, hope. Hope is today's word of the day. Hope, as defined by the American Dictionary, a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing or outcome to happen. And for the sake of today's opening discussion and for the sake of today's opening topic, we are going to use the biblical definition of the term hope. Not necessarily the American definition. We're going to use the biblical definition. The Bible defines the word hope as, quote, confidence in the expectation that God will fulfill his promises in the future. Now, I don't necessarily care to believe the big man upstairs necessarily cares about American football. I don't necessarily think he cares about such worldly happenings. However, I will wholeheartedly 100% believe in the word football gods. I believe there are a football god being or a football god omnipotent, omniscient being out there looking out for the sport and looking out for the happenings within the game of football. And I certainly believe during the midst of a football game, one might feel the need to pray to a said football god. All right, so as the 2024 football season arrives, you best be hopeful for this season, but you certainly best be praying. You best be praying that funny bounce happens to bounce your way. You best be praying that, the magical injury bug, kind of avoids your football team. You best be praying for good weather if you're Tennessee, and you best be praying for that fourth down conversion. A classic, oh dear Lord, please don't let that be a holding call on an explosive. You best be praying that field goal kicker, comes through in the clutch when they're actually deemed necessary and important to the game of football, which somehow always seems to be the most important moments of football. I don't necessarily believe that should be the case sometimes. But welcome back, football season, where, in the midst of football season, on Saturdays, you might find yourself praying to the football gods. And then here in the Southeast, on Sundays, finding yourself asking for forgiveness for maybe falsifying some idols. Welcome to football season, and welcome in. We have a loaded show for you guys tonight. Football season. It's here.
It's finally here.
It's finally here. Mm-hmm. What's your special prayer to the football gods?
Usually always give a good prayer to the offensive line in crucial situations. Please hold up.
Please hold up.
Please.
Just give us time. You got any special football prayer requests?
Like in general?
Yeah.
Or just...
You got like a go-to. Everybody's got a go-to.
If you're on defense for a Hail Mary, please just bat the ball down. Please.
That's a very good one, yeah. I don't know. Probably... Dude, I don't know. I'm blanking on a prayer.
You're blanking on a football prayer?
Yeah.
You don't have a superstitious fan that has one all the time?
I used to not watch close. If it was a one-score game in the fourth quarter, I wouldn't watch it. But I don't think that's necessarily like a prayer thing.
You would hide behind the couch?
I would literally hide behind. I would go into another room and cover my ears.
You're watching a horror film. Plug your ears, close your eyes.
Yes, that's exactly what I would do. I did that till I was like 13.
My dad was always a big fan of praying to Lady Luck. Lady Luck, please, just one time, would you be on our side? That's what he usually does.
Old Lady Luck is a good shout right in the midst of a needing of a good moment for your football team. Shout out to Lady Luck, and shout out to you guys for tuning in tonight. It is indeed a loaded show. Week 0 happened. We got some reactions for you guys on top of the Sunday reaction show that we hit you up with yesterday. Loved doing that with you guys, as it seemed you guys loved us doing it as well, based off the viewership numbers off that. We have the best bets of the the week, brought to you not only by BetUS, but our Stone Cold Lock in-house gambler right here, our boy Kirby. We're going to see how good he is. He talks a lot about it. Okay, he's our in-house gambler. We're going to put him on the record board this year, see how it ultimately turns out. Tyler from Spartanburg with the rare dub over a football coach. And it's a football coach that everybody loves a public dubbing of. So shout out to Tyler from Spartanburg. We got the top 5 things you missed about a college football Saturday coming to you tonight. Winners and losers from week 0. And of course, we got to give a shout out to our friends over at BetUS. Are you looking for a new place and a new home this season? The new book is the place to be over there at BetUS. It's your answer. The fastest payouts in the industry with 125% sign-up bonus over there, up to $2,000, guys, on your first 3 deposits. Fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process. Check out BetUS with our link in the description of this video below. Got a fun segment coming up for you guys in a little bit with those guys over at BetUS. It's going to be a real good time. We're going to get some plays for you guys this year. So shout out to those guys. Let's get into it. There were some football games this past weekend. Hey, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate, reviewing. If you miss any portion of tonight's broadcast, it will be made readily available. However, wherever you get your podcast, just search the Film Guy Network. Boys, big football game out there in Dublin, Ireland. And, Tech comes away with a win, 24-21. I unloaded about 30 minutes worth of observations on this singular football game yesterday. They've heard most of my thoughts and opinions, even though I've developed a new one since yesterday's show that I want to unload on you guys. But what was your primary takeaway from this football game yesterday?
From the football game itself is that Florida State has a massive problem that it's going to have to rely heavily on DJU to push the ball down the field when they need him to most. And I don't think you should trust them to do that. Game 1 certainly is not an indicator of that. But my takeaway from the week as a whole, was that's exactly what a week 1 is supposed to be like. A consequential game of a team that was supposedly a playoff hopeful falls in week 0, loses their first game of the season to an unranked team. Everyone's watching. It's a close game throughout. That game could have very easily been a 2-score game, kind of a dud. No one really watched it. But I feel like the entire nation kind of tuned into that and watched it all the way through. It was that good of a game. And the other games were great too.
I mean, it was wire to wire. Really, really competitive. Yeah. Even from the first opening possessions on both sides of the football.
Yeah, absolutely.
And almost like they were trading blows in extent for in that football game for a while.
Yeah, I think that for me it was, sometimes things are just what they are. I think DJU is just what he is, how we've kind of viewed him ever since his first full year as a starter at Clemson. He was at Clemson, went to Oregon State, didn't really improve upon much, kind of felt like he was the same guy that he was at Clemson, and changing sceneries and even going to better football programs, it doesn't really change who you are as a player. Sometimes you just are what you are. I think you saw that constantly throughout this football game for Florida State. And then also, I think that I think that what Florida State lost this offseason, I think that showed up in the football game. The defensive line, not having Jared Verse, just the crucial amount of members in the receiving core as well, not having your 2 top guys, Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. I think that showed up in the football game. So I think it showed that Florida State may be on that downhill trickle that we expected after losing so much, and Georgia Tech maybe on that uphill trickle that we expected.
Chat's hitting all over it. Portal strategy a little bit exposed here. I talked with some people from the Georgia Tech kind of building about the idea of, hey, you guys clearly knew who you were in the midst of a war, in the midst of a battle. Like 20 of 22 starters returning. We got a couple of pieces that are new here, but majority of this football team is very aware of who they are, who the man next to them is. And you can say all you want about, that being cliche or whatever, but this is very much still a very emotional sport and a sport that's filled a lot with ups and downs and momentum swings in a football game. And having the camaraderie and having the consistency and having that base of culture is very, very important in the midst of a war like that, especially to start the football season when you don't know who you are as a football team. You don't know what your identity is. Even Georgia Tech doesn't really know who they are, but they knew who they were in the midst of the battle is what I'm talking about. When you look to the guy next to you, you've been fighting with that guy for 3 years. That's a little bit different than looking across from you and that guy just got here in January. All right. And for some of these guys, like, Florida State's left guard, I mean, that guy was playing at Florida. Like, you think Florida State means a lot to him? You think he's got a lot of love for that university? I don't know. He just got there. And even if he has found some new love, guys, he's 6 months removed from talking about the biggest rival in that program, loving that program. You see what I'm saying? This is that across the board for that program. So obviously the portal culture is a takeaway from this football game. But my primary takeaway from this football game, especially consider my history, and disdain's the wrong word, but I'm going to say feeling some type of way about the triple option. High school football coaches everywhere. Every single one of y'all running the wing. Every single one of y'all running the wishbone. Every single one of y'all running some type of option because you feel like it's your best chance to win. Do it this way, please. This is the most optimal way of running the option ever. They just beat a top 10 football team with what Pete Thamel thought was the best defensive line in the country, throwing the ball 14 times. They faced 9 third downs the entire game. They rushed the football for almost 6 yards a carry. Their head coach after the game, in the biggest win probably in his history of his career, after 5 top 10 one-score games last year, Brent Key looks at the microphone and says, "Run the ball." Buddy, if you were an option coach, you were just, you were loving that football game. Please do it that way. Please stop making me go to high school football games watching y'all run the bone. I'm tired of it. I at least get some action out of that. At least makes it move a little bit.
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech did a phenomenal job of, when they realized that Haynes King was maybe not going to be able to win this game with his arm, they found out that they could just lean on the run, and they ate clock all game. I mean, they just ate up possessions, especially in the second half. I mean, they kept the ball out of Florida State's hands, and Florida State wasn't really doing much with the football in the second half to begin with. So when you limited their possessions and Georgia Tech was able to just march down the field and get points out of those drives too, it's one thing to just eat clock and not be able to capitalize off of those possessions, but Georgia Tech did both of those things, and it really cost Florida State in the end. B-gap and beyond.
B-gap and beyond. By the way, that's the whole point of the triple. We got Epic Pen up by chance?
Yeah.
All right, that's the whole point of the triple. The whole point of the triple is to attack B-gap and beyond. We're on this angle and we're working out, right? And when that gets pulled up, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Your defensive line against Georgia Tech is going to be rendered useless unless you do something, okay? Unless you create some type of issue for them and create some type of disruption and havoc in the backfield, okay? Take a look at this. All right, the old school option method was out here, right? We're going to get in the bone. All right, we're going to have a quarterback, we're going to have a running back, and we're going to put these little wings right here, these little H-backs, right? And we're going to run some type of motion. We're going to have a lead blocker. We're going to have the B-back. We're going to have the quarterback as an option while also having the pitch, right? That was option football. That's what option football looked like back in the day. All right, high school football teams all over the country still doing this type of option football. Well, Georgia Tech just does it the same way. They just do it a little bit differently, right? They put the quarterback back there. They run a wide receiver. What's going on with my board? They run a wide receiver in jet, right? They put the H-back right here. And now we have this lead blocker. We have zone this way. We have jet this way. And by the way, we can add the quarterback in this way. It's the same way. It's the same thing. It's just out of shotgun with a whole lot more options, because instead of your offensive lineman having to go from a 4-point stance to now kick sliding, because now all of a sudden, oh shit, it's 3rd and 8, we got to throw the football. Now you can do it out of this without everybody looking like they don't know what to do, and without it automatically being a punt situation on 3rd and 9. Will you please try this? The only thing you have to teach people how to do is shotgun snap a football. That's it. And then all of you can get back to this old school method of, this is how I win football games. This is how you win football games. By the way, this guy can still get recruited because he can still do all this, right? He can still run routes, okay? These offensive linemen, guess what? They can still get recruited because they're in 3-point stances. They're not in 4 points with their butt in the air, and nobody knows how to project them. I got really hot on that one because that one makes me really hot. That one really, really frustrates me, because for years I've gotten into arguments with head football coaches in high school football about, hey, this is how I have to do it to win games, and my job's to win games. It is. It's also to prolong some football careers, and it's hard to do it the way you're doing.
Good little rant right there.
Sorry.
Only
came
Monday
out of nowhere.
Too. I
love it.
Came out of nowhere. Sorry. the big takeaway in this football game everybody wants to talk about is this now panic mode for Florida State. The title is Florida State's got a problem. Who put that in the show notes? Raise your hand. Tell me why Florida State's got a problem.
Florida State has a problem because they showed that they don't, one, trust DJU to move the ball down the field vertically at all. And if they try to get him to do so, he's wildly inaccurate. He can't make the right decisions. So you basically, and we saw it in the first drive, like they marched down the field because they were able to spread them out. You gave DJU some very, very easy dump off passes, and you were able to push the ball at the middle with the run. Very quickly, Tech figured out and said, okay, we're going to have them force DJU to beat us with a pass. I don't think Florida State scored another touchdown with the exception of a slant on a hot route that got you to first and goal. Like, other than that, there was no movement for Florida State the rest of that game.
You know, I asked you guys before the show, and I want to ask kind of the chat this and kind of put it out into the ether here. I don't think there is, like, you got a thin running back room. We got ways to make that work. You're not great at the offensive line position. Hey, buddy, we can patchwork that, right? We can figure out ways to do that. But if you're constipated and you don't trust what's going on at the quarterback position, I haven't seen an offensive coordinator be able to just coordinate his way out of that. All right, because I haven't seen that in my history of doing this. Right, I've seen, like I said, I've seen great quarterback or great offensive coordinators make up for bad offensive lines, bad running back rooms. It's really, really hard to eliminate or take out or coach out bad quarterback play or really limited bad quarterback play. Guys, it's been 5 years for this guy. This is the fifth year of college football for him, and he's still messing up protections. Like very common basic stuff, still messing up protections. He's very much so still, unpolished, if you will, and very much so untrustworthy with his play caller at the helm. So I just don't know. I don't know how the offensive, if there's hope offensively for them moving forward, or how you could identify hope for them offensively moving forward. Because what you would say is, all right, well, we need to simplify, and we need to be able to run the football effectively, and we need to be able to bully opponents and make a designed run game and figure out how to add maybe the quarterback's legs into this equation and figure out ways to move around the fact that we don't have a great quarterback or we don't trust our great quarterback. And I'm going to tell you, if you can't do that against Georgia Tech, I don't know who you do that against. Okay, look at this defense from Georgia Tech, who, by the way, most of that football team returned from a year ago. Last year, they were 97th in points per game allowed. Okay, they allowed 5.4 yards per carry on the ground last year. That was 127th in the country. All right, they allowed 200 yards on the ground in 8 football games last year. This was arguably the worst run defense in the ACC, and they could not line up and bully them. They rushed for 98 yards on less than 4.0 yards per carry. Okay, they were deemed, not relatively, they were deemed ineffective by arguably the worst rush defense in the conference. It's not good. Like, if you're looking for hope, there's not a lot of it.
No, and I think too, though, like on the flip side, I don't really walk away with that much hope for Georgia Tech either after this football game. Like, I didn't see, like, Buster Faulkner and the offense, they got creative and they found ways to win a football game. And that's a crucial part of college football. And especially in moments like that, when you're on the ropes against a top 10 football team that you're trying to pull off the upset against. That's going to happen continuously for Georgia Tech this year. They're going to face some good opponents, but I think that you're not going to be able to replicate that win every single time, I don't think. I think that you found a way to beat Florida State in that moment, but I don't think Haynes King in that football game really showed anything of he was beating you other than his legs. And Buster Faulkner got integrated him in the football game to find him some winners through that, but Haynes King with his arm didn't exactly win them that football game.
I don't know, man. Haynes King, 3rd and 12, biggest play of the game.
Sure, and he popped up in that one big moment. That's when you need him most sometimes. That's all you need sometimes. But
I think the primary focus for Haynes King is to do exactly what the best thing he did Saturday was not turn the football over. If he can do that,
he tried to.
He did, but if he can do that, they will be fine.
Yeah.
They will be more than fine. They can win games like this. The recipe is there for this type of success, and that leads us to our next question. You already kind of gave your answer of, is Georgia Tech kind of a real contender in this conference and therefore in the college football playoff race? And I don't know how you look at this. They beat on paper, the favorite to win the conference going into the season. They beat them in a neutral site football game that looked to be like a 70-30 fan split, which isn't really a neutral football game. All right, they beat that football team. They're 100% contenders in this conference if they just beat the presumed favorite. I don't know how anyone could deem them otherwise. However, schedule's real tough for Florida State moving forward. I got 8 what I would deem toss-up football games for them moving forward. They're at Louisville, Duke at home, at UNC, Notre Dame, at Virginia Tech, Miami, NC State, at Georgia. 8 of the remaining 11 football games they're going to have to play are real tough battles for them.
Yeah, luckily 2 of those are non-conference games, so even if you do lose those, it doesn't matter as being a conference competitor. I think Tech is going to be a massive problem in the ACC this year. I don't know if you're ready to say they're contenders yet. They're going to be. They've obviously already proven that they're huge issues for teams that do hope to contend because they're going to give you a much bigger game than you were expecting probably. I don't know if I'm comfortable saying with what I saw, yeah, this is a team that's going to absolutely be a contender by the ACC by the end of the year. But then again, at this point, who are you comfortable saying?
Yeah,
we just saw the presumed number 1 team, Florida State, go down to this team. We don't think Clemson's going to be anything super special this year, which would lead.
Maybe Clemson's just super scrappy.
Maybe.
You know?
I mean, it very well could be, but I don't know. My gut tells me no, but you look around and it's like, who else is going to do it if it's not them?
Yeah, I think that's just kind of how we felt about the ACC coming into this season. It almost felt like a crapshoot, and you really didn't know what teams were going to be this year.
Big 12-ish.
Yeah, kind of just like we don't really know what's going to happen. We think Florida State is better than Georgia Tech. Turns out that was not the case on Saturday. And I think, too, it's hard to say Georgia Tech is a contender when I haven't seen the rest of the ACC play. Saw SMU play, and if that's your other factor in that conference, not looking too good. But Clemson hasn't played, Virginia Tech, NC State. Like, there's still a lot of questions in this conference. And if Clemson's defense is as good as advertised or what people expect it to be, I think that defense might be enough to just kind of carry them and coast them through this conference.
How would you stop that Georgia Tech offense?
I mean, other than just designating more and more bias to the box, I don't necessarily think there's a. I'd have to watch it in depth to really get an understanding of it.
The only answer I have for any type of option-based offense is havoc. Like, you have to slant, you have to put people like 2 yards in the backfield, even if they're just back there. Even if they're just standing there, they don't necessarily make the play. They're going to mess up the mesh and therefore the entire timing of the offense. Okay?
Yeah, as I say, I don't think people realize how much. I don't think people realize how much option offense is predicated on timing.
Yeah,
and you being able to be here when I need you if I have to pitch you. Because if that's not, everything's out of whack, or handoffs and things like that.
What I wouldn't do is try to two-gap the whole. I felt like Florida State tried to two-gap way too much Saturday, which is like, hey, come off the ball, read what the guys in front of you is doing, and then react to that. And if you're on your heels, if you're doing this, and they're moving sideways, or their offensive line is moving, you're sitting still and you're going to get made to look stupid. I felt like a lot of Florida State's problem Saturday was their whole entire defense was kind of playing on their heels because they didn't identify what was happening in front of them, which is a coaching error more than anything.
Well, not even that. I think this team really showed that they're missing Braden Fisk and Jared Verse.
Which were havoc creators.
Exactly.
They were constantly behind the line.
Exactly. Like that was one of the biggest takeaways for me. Is like, we talked about how great this defensive line was in the offseason. It got a lot of hype, but there was not a lot of havoc created, and there wasn't a lot of pressure created when there needed to be. Now, obviously, pressure in the run game isn't the same as pressure in the passing game, but it didn't look great.
I honestly thought Florida State was going to have an opportunity, and they might moving forward. I thought Marvin Jones was going to have like an immediate release and almost like a freeness as a football player, because at Georgia he was playing jack, and he's a jack, but he's not. He's really a hand down edge rusher and a hand down defensive end, where you can just say, hey, you don't have to worry this time of, okay, motions to me, now I got to drop, or hey, motions away, now I'm adding in, and oh, by the way, I'm adding in and I got to squeeze, I got to surf, this time I'm a surf player, this time I'm an attack player. Georgia asked their edge rushers to think and play a lot more, whereas Florida State, based off what they've done historically, it's more of, hey, get upfield, create problems for the defense. You're a free player, fine ball, go get it. I thought Marvin was going to excel at that immediately. He didn't. I didn't feel like it was a great game Saturday for either of those defensive ends, Peyton Page included. Again, most of that because they're doing a lot of A lot of this. What's going on? Where's that? Bam! Smack in the face.
Yeah, they definitely seemed like they were reacting the entire game, and that's not something you can do against an offense that just wants to come out and punch you in the mouth. So, and the reality of this is, like, it's not a complete disaster for Florida State. You showed you have a lot of problems, and there's a lot of things you have to get cleaned up. Whether or not you can clean them up is a maybe. I think we all know that the quarterback situation is going to be what it is. DJU's in his 5th year. I don't think he's going to progress that much more from week 1 of his last season in college football to week 12. Like, that's going to be what it is. But there's things on defense that you can fix.
I'm moving the show notes around. While we're on week 0, let's continue with winners on week 0 and losers of week 0. Big winner week 0, Buster Faulkner.
Yep.
To an extreme. Like, I love Buster, but like to an extreme. Felt like even people were just asking him to come back and like replace people's jobs in our market, which is
crazy.
We're going to get to in the local hour.
Yeah, I mean, he just
I'm going to piss some people off in the local hour. I'm just going to let you know.
He just threw his hat into the top 3 most highly demanded coaching names whenever those head coaching vacancies come up. So, yeah, he's a massive winner.
Yeah, I already saw articles of saying he's going to be in the NFL within the next 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Already to the league. I think he's got aspirations on the collegiate level first.
Feels that way.
Yeah. I will say this about Buster. I've seen a lot of, actually not a lot, because a lot of people don't leave Kirby's staff, but there have been, moments in the past where there's a coach on the other sideline that used to coach here, right? Sam Pittman being one of those. They'll have another one this fall with Matt Luke right here coming up this weekend. From a man to a man, watching that whole entire coaching staff meet Buster Faulkner midfield last year, but prior to that Tech football game, I don't know if I've seen so many smiles on so many Georgia coaches' faces. Most of them are robots. They're not allowed to smile. They don't smile. They love that dude. They like everyone loves some Buster Faulkner. So interesting, big winner this weekend. Winner or loser? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I've got obviously DJU's the main loser here. Like, it's your 3rd team, 5th season in college football. You've basically solidified that you are what you are now. There's not a lot of room for improvement. I think we've seen his ceiling. I think we've seen his floor, and it's not great. So massive loser, DJU.
New Mexico State was a major loser, not just because they actually lost a football game, but 21 straight points. I think were they all in the 4th quarter?
Yeah,
I think it was all in the 4th quarter. Yeah, tough way to open up your season in week 0 and lose to Montana State. Just tough scene.
Tough scene for any FSU booster who was walking around this offseason attaching themselves to the DJU check. Or just any booster at Florida State right now, probably feeling like your return on investment's not all that ideal.
Yeah, that massive loss. I think a W, though, was Nick Saban in College Game Day. Nick Saban filled the hole of Lee Corso very well. And I know they're not the same exact positions, but having Nick Saban up there did not make me think about Lee Corso, which is kind of interesting. Go ahead.
Might be controversial. And I know it's not really college football related, but he is a massive personality in my industry. I don't know how I feel about the most popular and in-demand talent doing what we do, which is hosting an internet show. I don't know how I feel about that person being Pat McAfee, and then that person on Friday essentially opening his show talking about taking edibles and then closing his show having to be pulled off air because he's too intoxicated. I know he's in Dublin. I know his whole show is fun. I don't know how I feel about that, all right? Because that dude makes a whole lot of money to just dick around. And I wish I could do that, but maybe that's his whole gift. Maybe that's just jealousy. Again, maybe I'm just jealous. Maybe this take is nothing but jealousy. However, don't know how I feel about that being the top of what we do. The top of what we do on the internet of creating show is that. And I don't know how I feel about that. So there you go.
I think, like...
We don't even have to expound upon it unless you feel the need to do so. That's just how I feel.
All right. I was just going to say maybe in moderation, certain events, certain times, like maybe that. If you're in Ireland, good for you. Have a good time. But when it comes to week by week College Game Day, let's maybe keep it a little cleaner. I think that week 0 in itself was a winner. Every single game outside of the Hawaii game was I can't remember a time where week 0 had this many good football games, like games where you could watch it all the way in the 4th quarter. Maybe not the best brands of football playing, but there were 4th quarter football games that came down to the wire. SMU was on the ropes. They came back and pulled off the win. So I just appreciated that the first opening weekend of college football wasn't a complete dud outside of one game.
Yeah, I also had the fans for that, all the exact reasons you said. I also have another major winner of the week, Kirk Herbstreit.
Oh, yeah.
Kirk
How
Herbstreit.
about his troll tweet after that?
That's part of the reason. Kirk Herbstreit spent all last December dunking on FSU, saying they don't need to be in the playoff. Then they didn't get the playoff, and everyone hated Kirk Herbstreit. Then they lost by 60. So for them to come back this season and drop their first game, Kirk Herbstreit took a big dub, and he kind of did a victory lap with his tweet.
Kill him with kindness.
Kinda did a victory lap. Shit, he dropped the net on the car and hung his head out the window. He did some damn donuts.
I say he kind of did it because it was a very condescending victory lap.
Yeah.
Like it was like, hey,
you guys,
it's all right,
whole
guys.
season's in front of you.
Yeah, if he could have been like, told you this team wasn't shit.
Vegas Sharps, huge winner opening weekend. They moved that line in that Tech game, I think a full 2 points right before the game started.
Yep.
And that means they were dumping loads of cash on the Yellow Jackets, and they cashed big time.
They did.
Huge win for opening week for the Sharps.
Massive week for them.
I have a couple more. Y'all got any? Big loser, my college football playoff bracket, because for some reason I thought the ACC was so shit that despite my doubts of DJU, Florida State was still going to make it. It's clear to me they can't run the ball their way to that victory if they can't do that to Tech. So that really scares me.
Yeah,
I felt the same way after watching them. I was like, well, Florida State, you're not making my bracket complete this year.
Yeah,
I mean, they could fall ass backwards. It's week 0, so I don't want to overreact too much, but it's not looking good. Another loser, Hawaii. Hawaii should have beat the shit out of Delaware State, and that
Did
was
you see the videos coming out? First of all, playing on Spectrum Sports.
Yeah, man, what the heck?
You can't give me my midnight late chaser on ESPN. For the love of God, I'm a fiend. I haven't been watching college football for 8 months.
Midnight game.
You can't let me mainline that. I mean, for the love of God, that was garbage. But anyways, I think Hawaii's stadium's maybe under reconstruction because they were very clearly playing at a high school football field based off the videos that I saw.
It looked that way.
Nonetheless, a non-cover for them, but at least they didn't New Mexico State that.
Yeah.
A big winner week 0, retention, and a big loser, portal teams maybe. I know very early here, but Tech, kind of the example of, hey, keep what you got. Maybe, recruit the high school level, develop all that good stuff. Florida State, hey, let's buy what's fancy and what's new. Let's plug some holes with the portal U. Boom, take an L off the bat. Just saying, little yin and yang there to start the season.
Yeah, the more time goes on, the more seasons we get where teams rebuild through the portal, you get to see that it's not a sustainable model at all. You can have these one-off seasons, hello Baylor, hello Michigan State, hello Florida State, but it's not a sustainable way to keep those successes rolling. All those teams kind of somewhat collapsed. Now, Florida State's still in the middle of their season. I mean, at the start of it, hell, but it's looking like it's going to be a massive regression from what they had last year. So, yeah, retention is a big winner.
Yeah, and I think that from now on, it almost feels like any team that just absolutely pursues the portal, like some of these teams are like Ole Miss did this offseason, we just need to classify them as one-hit years. Like, they're pushing in for this 1 year. After that, like, what happened this year does not apply whatsoever to the next season because there's too many cases, like you're mentioning, of teams pushing into the portal, snagging all these players and making it look all fine and dandy for 1 year, and then the next year they try to replicate and they just fail to.
I'm a year 2 portal guy, like the Fighting Neil Browns up at West Virginia. Give me a year 2
that line's
portal guy.
Close.
It's getting closer, isn't it? People, the Sharps are coming with me. Fading Penn State, fighting Neil Browns. Come on, baby.
Heard the takes.
Love it. Just for the takes purposes. That's it. Best bets of the week.
Let's do it.
I love this. Hey, I want to give another shout out to our friends over at BetUS. If you're not looking for a new book, you need to be looking for looking for one anyways. You need to be heading over to BetUS. I'm going to go to the board right now, and we're going to make a play right now. Here's the deal, okay? Our man Kirby is the sharp on the network, all right? Our deal is he's got 5-way parlays all year long,
Holy
all right?
shit.
5-way parlays all year long. Hey, here's the deal. It's with Boss's money, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
All right, it's with the Boss's money. All right, we got 5-way parlays. As an audience member, you can choose to do this however you want. If you want to take the parlay with him, if you like some of these singular bets because he sells you on them, go ahead and make them over on BetUS. Our job, Jonathan and I, is to sell him on a game to get onto the card. All right? And if we're the reason you lose, maybe we take 5 laps around the house, something like that. Maybe there's some type of fun.
5 laps around the house.
100 push-ups.
I like that.
We'll put a phone book on it, something. All right, either way. All right, let's go to the board. All right, Kirby. So you got the whole card to your availability. All right, the whole BetUS card. Can you pull the BetUS slate over here for me, J. Will?
Yeah.
Let's get this pulled up. All right, Start off. What's your big lock of the week right here, Kurt? What's your number one game you feel great about this one?
The number one game I feel great about this week is Hawaii minus 14 or Hawaii plus 14 over UCLA. I'm taking UCLA on that. So
this is gonna be a delay. Oh no, they play Saturday.
They do
again. Okay, so they got week 0 and week 1.
Yeah, let me read off a couple of things for you. 58% of the bets and 83% of the money are on UCLA to cover. So this line is going to go down faster than an Ocean Gate submersible. Last season, Hawaii was 0-2 with the rest disadvantage. Obviously, Hawaii played week 0. UCLA did not. UCLA was 2-0 with the rest disadvantage. Last time, Hawaii lost to a Power 4 team by less than 13 points. Take a guess. 2019. It's been 5 seasons since Hawaii has played a Power 4 team and not lost by more or less than 13 points. I really like UCLA in this spot, even if they're on the road.
All right, so you got UCLA?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're going to search UCLA right here. You're going to lay the 13.5. All right.
Laying 13.5.
Laying 13.5.
Next up is Georgia Tech versus Georgia State. I'm taking the under in this game. Buster Faulkner offense has showed you that they are going to run the ball, lean on teams, and sit on it. You're going to get 6, 7, maybe 8 possessions throughout a game. That's not enough room for Georgia State to score points. Combined with the fact that we've got a very small sample size this season of how these new clock rules are affecting games, I think it's going to be taking a while for these lines to adjust. For example, last 6 FBS games that were played in week 0, 5 of them the under hit. So I'm going to take the under on this Georgia Tech game.
So you thinking like a 45-7 ball game here?
Yeah, low scoring.
A 45-7 blowout, maybe like a 38-7 or
38-10, something like that.
Something like that. So you're going to take the under 57 right here in this ball game. What's up next, Kirby?
My next one, I'm not crazy about this one, but it's too crazy not to take. South Carolina minus 21 versus Old Dominion. This line was originally at 19.5. It's moved a good bit already.
You're going to get it at 21 here.
Yeah, 96% of the money is on South Carolina to cover. Only 25% of that. So that means the people who are believing in South Carolina are throwing loads of money on it. That indicates sharp money. So I'm going with South Carolina on this.
All right, you got South Carolina minus 21. That's 3 touchdown favorite against a mediocre at best mid-major football team. The Fighting Shane Beamer's feet for free nonetheless.
Correct.
I'll be able to cover that.
Exactly. You also have to think of it this way. This is going to be Lenore Seller's introduction. Shane Beamer's probably going to want to get some excitement going on this season. We all know it's a hot seat season for him. So what better way to come out than beating the shit out of Old Dominion?
All right, what do you got next?
This one's going to be controversial, I know. I'm going Vanderbilt plus 13 against Virginia Tech. And I'll tell you why. 56% of the bets are on Virginia Tech.
When you said this pre-show, I thought 100% you were going with the Hokies here.
No.
Wow. Tell me why.
Here's why. Line was at 13.5 earlier today. It's already moved down a good bit in day one. 56% of the bets are on Virginia Tech, but 84% of the money is currently on Vanderbilt.
So you think there's an opportunity? This is value right here on a Monday.
This is a value play. I don't
think this moves even more.
Correct. I think by the time Saturday comes, this line could be at around 12, 11.5 if you're crazy. So get on this now while you can because it's already dropping a good bit.
I ain't never rush into the book to bet on Vandy. But good luck on that one. Good luck on that one.
And this is the last one. This one's just kind of a throw it out there. Why not?
All right.
North Dakota State money line over Colorado.
Whoo! All right, let me convince you that Georgia's going to beat Clemson by more than 2 touchdowns.
Go ahead.
I think that has a better chance of happening than North Dakota State winning outright.
I would hear that.
All right. Reason being, too much of a disadvantage on the lines of scrimmage, in my opinion, for Georgia. All right, I think that it heavily favors them. Also, if you're going to be a very heavy man-man football team, you better have the ability to beat Georgia's weapons. I don't know if Clemson has that answer. I like Georgia by 17 in that football game.
I like that. I think that's a very, very good avenue. The bet I wanted to take in this Georgia-Clemson game was the first half under. I think that's going to be 2 offenses that are trying to figure things out against 2 defensive fronts that are really good. Unfortunately, we don't have those lines on BetUS right now, but I do like Georgia at minus 13.
Do you like it more than North Dakota outright? Man, you take North Dakota outright on the money line, you're going to jack this
on Thursday.
Through the roof.
On Thursday.
For parlay purposes, yes. I had this NDSU take as kind of just you know what, throw 10 on it. If it hits, great. If not, oh well. So yeah, I would throw Georgia in that parlay more.
Where's this Colorado game? I don't even.
You have to go to
on a different.
You have to go to features for some reason.
Okay. All right. We might end up putting the Georgia one on here just for shiggles. Hey, sell him on one right quick.
I was going to try and sell you on the Virginia Tech minus 13. And I brought one stat just to sell my point here. Of 10 losses last season, Vanderbilt lost 9 of them by at least 16 points.
Yeah, Vanderbilt is definitely not the sexy team when it comes to taking things like these. Their money, for some reason, is too attractive. And this is what's going to happen in your early week games just because there's not a product on the field. Most of these teams haven't played yet. I think the only two teams I am betting on that played were Hawaii and Georgia Tech. So there's a lot of risk in these early weeks.
I think this Georgia line moves back to 14 solid before this game starts.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe even 14 and a half.
Probably.
All right. What do you want to do? You
I'm
want
going to
add this to the play?
I'll go with Georgia for
All
sure.
right, let's add this to the play. All right, and here's the deal. This is the boss's money, so we're not going to be doing a lot of this one. And it's a parlay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and place bets right here. Where can we risk to win? Let's go 10 to win 250. I like that.
I like it.
We got 25 to 1 odds right here on this 5-way parlay. Give it to me. Locked it in. Confirm. Hey, man, it'd be a hot start to the college football season right there. And, you know, I like the way it feels. I like the way that feels.
It would be a very hot start.
I like that. Let me go get your remote, too, or your mouse. I think they call that
sir.
a mouse.
Yes, a mouse.
Is what they call that. They call that a mouse. What's up next on the show sheets, boys?
We've got some Dabo Swinney news.
Ooh,
we can
Dabberton.
talk about the 5 things we love most.
Oh, no. List Radio. Give it to me. List Radio. Right now. Top 5 things you missed most about a college football Saturday. OLI starting hot, outside looking in. Film Guy logos inside the stadium in the crowd. That is awesome. When I look up in the stands and I see a Film Guy logo held up on a poster board, that gets me hot. You know what I mean? That gets me excited for the growth of this network and the growth of this show. Number 5, top 5 things you missed most about a college football Saturday. Number 5, the grind. Particularly a football fanatic such as myself, I don't know what it is, but a 20-hour workday on a Saturday, I just love it. Like waking up at 6 a.m. and then finishing editing photos at 3 a.m., getting done with that workday after having spent a decade on a construction site. Man, that makes me so grateful for doing what I do, because my grind, I'm going to tell you right now, my grind don't feel like your grind. Your grind feels like a grind. Mine does not. Mine does not. And I love that about me. I could say that, and I feel great about that. And that's awesome. I'm glad those days have returned to me. Number 4, the views. Now we can be a little more self-centric again. I love the fact that there's over 1,200 people watching this right now, because you weren't here in May. You are not here in May, but you are here right now because college football hath returned. Okay, it hath returned. Where are we at? Number 3, the overreaction. I love that at the end of a Saturday evening, Sunday morning, boy, the takes are hot. The takes are no hotter ever than right there. The overreaction from whatever it is. It can be a 3-point loss to Florida State or to Georgia Tech in Dublin, and you go from telling me your defensive tackles are the best in the country to you nicknaming them left and right cheek. That's what happened to us from the Florida State fan base this weekend. I love the overreactions. That's what I love. Number 2, I love this one. On a Saturday afternoon, you can tell I'm getting giddy. On a Saturday afternoon, someone walks up to you and says these words right here. Hey, did you see how the insert football game ended? Oh, man, I ain't never ran to my phone so fast. I can't wait. I can't wait to go see how insert game ended. My God, famous moment last year. Georgia Tech, Georgia. Watch now. Hey, did you see how the Iron Bowl ended? No, I haven't seen how the Iron Bowl ended. Please, can I run off into the corner of this, what they call a college football stadium, and find how that football game ended? I have to right now. And number one, the thing I miss most about a Saturday in college football season, the damn buzz. I can't explain it to you other than this. That feeling of butterflies and giddiness you got like when you knew you were about to go on spring break vacation, or that giddiness you get before like the first time you're about to go do something really, really fun or really, really exciting. I get that for Saturdays. And I get that vibration and that buzz pregame when I'm walking to the game. And guess what? I can feel that buzz and that vibration and that almost like heat from the concrete leaving the football game. And the buzz, and this one's not even a buzz, it's the stench of a game in the SEC after, where there's trash on the ground and you can smell the Millers and you can feel the vibration from downtown. Boys, the buzz is number 1.
I love that, the buzz.
We are so back.
We're back.
We are so back. I'm telling you right now, man. If you don't love college football, get the hell out.
My number 5, off-season talk is no more. That goes for us as content creators, and that goes for all the fans as well. There's no more of these speculations and predictions of this is that, this is the other, or us having to sit here and for an entire offseason speculate how we things are going to play out this year. We have football games now that we get to base observations off of, just like Florida State and Georgia Tech. We're basing observations off of a real football game.
Dude, I did 30 minutes on one game yesterday, and content never flew faster. Never flew faster, never came easier.
It's just such a great feeling to be able to talk about actual football, especially once we've done it from the end of January all the way to this point. It's such a good feeling. Number 4, the build-up. Every single week, you get to build up into a new weekend, and you get to talk about the football games and the expectations, and everything about the football game just gets bigger and bigger.
Can feel it in my plums. The anticipation.
Especially for this week, like week 1, there are some great football games that are going to be played. There's so much expectation. There's so much build up to this week. I cannot wait to hear that college game day jingle play on my TV on Saturday morning. Number 3, post-game adrenaline rushes. After whether it's after covering a football game or after watching a football game at home, once that clock hits 0, there's just a rush of adrenaline of wow, what I just witnessed was the greatest thing ever. I like getting to love what you do, getting to love watching what you do, those types of I just love the post-game adrenaline. After a long workday, it's just I feel filled with more energy than I did in the morning. Number 1 and number 2 play into one another. Number 1 I'm going to jump to number 1 because number 2 plays into this. I miss that morning wake-up call on Saturdays because it's the only time of the year where it feels good to be waking up at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning because you have a full day to look forward to and it's a fun day. And then also when the weather starts getting right, feeling that cool breeze in your house in the mornings because the windows are open. Just something about it screams football season. Something about it screams this is about to be a fantastic day.
I love my job. I love these text messages the most. Hey Brooks, Coach so-and-so from such and such wants you to know how appreciative I am for what you do. And the news that will drop over the next day or two about so-and-so is 100% because of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Boys, a young man's going to college to play college football because I showed up one day at the right camp.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Where were we at?
I just finished on my top 5.
That's a good top 5. Do you have one for me? That's a damn good top 5.
Which one was your favorite?
That top 5 almost brought a tear to my eye.
Which one was your favorite?
Damn, that one. The one you ended with. It was the best.
Thank you.
It was truly the best.
I put a lot of thought into that.
What do you got for me? Well, you got a top 5 for me?
Yeah, I got one for you.
You got OLI.
I didn't do any OLIs.
Okay,
that's a
Brooksy getting a kid to college, OLI.
There you go. That's part of it. Number 5 for me, the excitement that you feel in the morning. Very similar to what you said, Jay. Well, when you wake up and you know, hey, in 3 hours, first kickoff's going down, you get to sit down on the couch and just rot for 3 hours watching game day, knowing that this will be your spot for the rest of however long you're going to sit here and watch college football. Number 4, the late night matchups that you didn't think you'd care about that become so much fun to watch. After your game's over and you go downtown with all your friends and you're watching the game on the TV in the bar, and it's like, holy shit, this Colorado State game is incredible. I'm so invested in this.
The random, it turned into a sweater.
Exactly. That's the best one where it's like, this is why college football is amazing.
Oh, that's big time.
Number 3, best part about it to me, best part about game days on Saturdays, that small window, whenever it is, whether it's halftime, whether it's before kickoff, whether it's after the game you just watched, that small window where you and your friends go out and throw the ball for 30 minutes. It always happens on a Saturday. I don't know why, but it's one of my favorite parts. It's like, oh, this is the perfect intermission for watching football. Number 4, this coincides with going outside and throwing the ball. Just walking outside and hearing the crunch of leaves and smelling the fall air. That's when you know football season is in full swing.
Smelling bonfires, man.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Love it so much.
And then this is probably my favorite part. Number 5, how fast time travels from noon to 11:30 every Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
You sit down, it's like, okay, after this game I'm going to eat, and then by the next thing you know, it's like, damn, the day's already over. That was quick as hell, but it was so much fun. You would do it all over again. You can't wait to do it next week. That's what probably the best part of college football is to me.
No big tailgaters, unless, I don't know, I didn't hear your top 5. Was there anything in there about tailgate?
Nah.
No tailgate mentions in either of our top 5s?
I didn't grow up a tailgater.
Yeah, neither did I.
We're always home watchers.
Is that a generational thing? Think tailgating's going to die?
No.
No. Drinking's too fun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it just depends on how you're raised. Like my dad would prefer to stay at home, and we have a big group of people that we always watch games with.
Man, the former drinker in me, a beer mosa to start a Saturday. Ooh. Oh my God, I might start drinking
Creature
again
comfort
just for beer mosas
sometimes.
Dear Lord. Speaking of Creature Comforts, shout out to those guys. We will be there live September 7th prior to the Tennessee Tech game. So if you're going to be in town, you want to come hang out with the homies, that's official. Sick. We'll be out there, okay, starting at 11 o'clock, doors open. We're going to mingle, say hello, shake some hands, kiss some babies, and then we'll do a show live from Creature Comforts right there. So if you want to come have a beer with the boys, come hang out, feel free to do so. Creature Comforts, September 7th. Okay, those guys are going to host us. Love getting out and doing live shows. It's a different kind of nerves for the homies.
Definitely.
I feel a little bit different.
It is a little different.
Vibe. Yeah, it does feel different.
It's weird to have the eyes on you.
Yeah. Have the folks watching. So already got some folks in the chat saying they will be there. That'll be a good time to come out and hang out with the family over there at Creature Comforts. And a good, cheap football ticket.
Yeah.
Okay, because ain't too many of those, especially next year, right? If you're trying to plan when you're going to go to a Georgia football game, there are few and far between that are going to be relatively light on the wallet, especially next season. So pay attention to that with those season tickets and all that good stuff going on. So shout out to that. All right, Tyler from Spartanburg.
Ooh, another list. We're getting in some more lists?
Yeah,
we should have been our winner of week 0.
Hey, it was a surprise list.
Oh, my bad. There are no lists. We don't do
lists.
We're not list radio anymore. It's the season's here.
Real talk radio coming your way. Like Tyler from Spartanburg getting a dub on Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney out here is the most high horse of all high horses. All right. And Tyler from Spartanburg caught a dub off that man. Dabo Swinney no longer taking live calls on his weekly radio station out there in Clemson, South Carolina. How about that?
Damn. Can't screen him anymore.
Man.
Can't do it.
The trolls got him.
A fresh dub up off Dabo Swinney.
Did Tyler from Spartanburg calling again, or was it just that one time?
No, this was breaking news per On3 today. Breaking news. No longer doing live shows.
Damn. That was...
Or no longer taking phone calls, I should say.
That's sad.
I honestly think this qualifies Tyler from Spartanburg for what I would deem legendary status amongst college football fans. Would you agree?
He's definitely up there. He's definitely one of the modern ones.
I would say he's solidly in the top 5. If I were to mythically make a top 5 of legendary college football fans, Tyler from Spartanburg would make that top 5.
Who would be in this top 5?
You want me to just off the cuff come up with a top 5 legendary college football fans?
Sure.
If you can.
Let's try this. I'm going to go outside looking in, Ohio State Garnet guy. You know, the guy that wears the bunch of buck nuts and then paints the O on the top of his head and full face Garnet.
The Florida State glitter guys.
Outside looking in, Florida State glitter guy too. Not that he's not on this top 5, but I'm going to say he's outside looking in.
Is there anything more humiliating in college football than being those guys when your team is losing?
Oh, take a loss, got to wipe that paint off. That don't come off.
And the camera always finds them.
No, I actually went...
Going surrender, Cobra.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know? Damn. One of those.
Fun fact, I actually went to Tallahassee for a game one year, saw those guys, and then saw them downtown later, still fully in the glitter. So they don't take it off when the game's over. They wear
outside
that shit
looking
all day.
in, legendary football fandom, you think Spurriers are cool guy. It starts with the white, the base coat, and it pops like Rennie Curran on 4th down.
Legend.
That guy outside looking in. Also outside looking in, LSU chain guy. Really maximized his platform that year. They won a national title. I think COVID really knocked his stock, to be honest with you. He was really getting some Uncle Mo right there before the world of fandom kind of shut down. Those are the OLIs. Number 5, Tyler from Spartanburg. You get a guy like Dabo Swinney to admit he's wrong or change his ways, buddy. You won. You absolutely won. Now, he cooked you. He absolutely did. But you're a legend, bro. You got mans up off the radio. You got mans to stop taking phone calls. You're probably the first person ever to, I would say, win an argument and at least get to the point where you won the argument to where Dabo kind of, for lack of a better term, shuts up. Like, you shut up, Dabo? Wow, you're a legend. Number 4, Ingram Smith. Now, for those of you, we're going to really test the audience retention on what the topics we talk about, because even my executive producer hit me with, who's Ingram Smith? Ingram Smith, you go from hosting a fan-related podcast to essentially being the general manager of that football program and going to daily happenstance meetings with Mike Norvell. Buddy, you are a legendary fan. You went from, I think we're going to be really good this year on this podcasts that nobody really listened to being the damn general manager and the CEO of the collective, buddy, you're a legend in my book as far as fans go. Number 3, Harvey Updike, buddy, you go to prison for your fandom, you make the list. Number 3, Harvey Updike, I poisoned them trees, Paul. They gonna die? Well, yeah, I think they gonna die. And not only that, you name your daughter Allie, first name Allie, middle name Bama, buddy, you are
Clinical.
Also Hall of Fame legendary status with the fandom. Bulldog painted head guy. You might be listening to this. RIP, by the way. Might be listening to this if you're an Ohio State fan thinking, why Bulldog paint guy get 2, Ohio State paint guy get 5? Ohio State paint guy, you got a letter on your head. Not that impressive. Man's painted a whole ass bulldog on his head, and you might say, well, someone else might have painted that. Still, tremendous artwork. Bulldog paint head, number 2. Number 1, hands down, not even close, completely undebatable, walked away with it, first ballot Hall of Famer legendary status. You show up to a college football game in full football pads for every single home football game. By the way, you're one of 500 fans that show up in general, and you do so in full regalia. Miami full pad guy, number 1.
Does he have a real name, or is it just...
No, he's Miami full pad guy. I'm sure he's got a real name, but he's Miami full pad guy.
Some Connor Stallion shouts in the chat. I think that's a decent one.
Yeah, but he ain't going to prison. You know what I'm saying? Go to prison and be a psycho fan before you come and make my list.
I think the guy, whoever's waving the Wazoo flag every single game.
So we talked about that.
Yeah,
one.
Also, it's a cop out.
It's a group. We said if it was like it's a group of people. So we said like if it was one like small, like if it was one guy or maybe 2 different people that was doing it, they would have made the list. I think here's an OLI for you. Anybody that shows up to College Game Day and is willing to be one of the fans in that pit, you deserve to be on this list, because I have done that before, and I could say I will never do it again. And the process and everything is, honestly, I'm just not a fan of it. It's pretty miserable, and it takes a lot out of you to get there early enough to be in the pit and then stand there the entire time. And just if you do that, you're on the list.
I think Tyler Trent needs to be on this list too.
Who?
Tyler Trent, the kid, the Purdue fan. The Make-A-Wish kid who was there when Purdue beat the shit out of Ohio State. I thought that's where you were going.
Yeah.
That was, that's elite fandom.
How about the people that tore down the goalpost for Tennessee and carried it to the river?
That's a whole collective.
That's a collective, though. That's not one person.
Whole group.
Carrying a freaking goalpost.
We need to find the man that threw the golf ball at Lane Kiffin, or the mustard bottle. Mustard bottle guy. That's the guy.
Or the
so many questions.
Or the kid who went up to Caleb Williams was like, "Where's the nails?" Nails.
Or same game, Tennessee. How about the girl that got hit by Jermaine Burton?
Oh,
you think she's out here telling folks about that? That was me. How's that work?
I don't know about it.
Was it LSU last year where the fan got pushed over? It was recording it on the football field?
Yes.
Dude, that was such an iconic moment from last year.
I'll tell you right now, if you're someone who has been to every single Vandy home football game over the last X amount of years, you take number 1. Period. If you have shown up, if you're a season ticket holder and ain't missed a game, not a single snap inside that thing they call a stadium, buddy, you're number 1. We need to know your name too, buddy.
You think it's just one?
You're a legend. It has to be. There's probably not even one.
There's one season ticket holder that shows up?
Probably not even one. I bet the athletic director hadn't even seen every single football game at Vandy the last several years.
Probably not. No.
Dang.
Tough times.
That's brutal.
Come on. Any other thoughts?
No, I think we nailed most of the psycho fans on that one.
That SMU game was weird, huh?
It was really weird. The leading up to it, then everything I was reading about it, like I said this to you after the game, like if I'm an SMU fan and I saw the comments that were made by Rhett Lashley after that football game,
not feeling great.
Not feeling great, because Preston Stone gets named the starter because he was the starter pretty much all of last year, except he broke his leg.
So, we watered wet that decision.
Yeah.
We said water's wet, bro. He threw 90% of your balls last year, and it wasn't that much, actually. It was about 70% of the passes.
So an injury leads to him not starting every game last year, but he gets named the starter. But then what are you hawing about?
Oh, no. We missed a fan. Does Willie make the list? He's
Roll Tide Willie.
Roll Tide Willie. He's pretty damn famous.
He is, yeah.
That's about as famous as any fan has made himself to be. Now, it was Drewski's rub, I think, is what got him.
Yeah.
Because it opened him up to the entire world, not just Southern spitting in a cup.
Here's my
America.
thing. I don't know. Part of me feels like that's...
I think it's cringe, personally.
Well, not even that. I feel like that's more of a bit than it is like true fandom. Like Harvey Updike is true fandom.
True fandom.
Roll Tide Willie kind of leans into that just to be like, hey, I'm getting famous off of this. Like, do you think he really talks like that 24/7?
I mean, Willie looked like he drank some cells away, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, but
I mean, lots of them.
I get leaning into it vibes from Roll Tide Willie.
At this point, it feels that way.
At this point, he's extending the bit.
Initially, it was like, that dude definitely talks
when they
like
were
that.
filming him in the backyard and he's like, Willie, what you guys say? That was original. But then like he got Drewski involved and then he's showing up at the practices. That's more like
more viral moment was Ragball Willie wearing a Bama shirt. Rag 'em. Was that guy wearing a Bama shirt, or is this a different thing? Chat's talking about Ragball.
I think it's a different thing.
All right, I was thinking viral moments. Other one was the little kid in the Georgia shirt sitting there spreading his money. Go, oh, I care about money. Oh, we talk about money. I talk about money all day. And he's sitting there in his little Georgia shirt and the little hat. He's like 5 years old, money spreading. That's pretty viral. Anyways, all right, we got a whole nother hour, and it's a great one. We're going to talk that dog coming up. Make sure you hit that like button in between segments right here. Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Stand by.
We back? All right, welcome back in. We got a whole nother hour. We finna talk that dog. Shout out to BetUS. We are powered by those folks over here. We're gonna talk about them in just a little bit. But I just got to. I gotta get some off my chest. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Every time I address the entire fan base, I get a lot of, hey, but that ain't everybody. But I'm gonna talk to a specific portion of the fan base, and those people are not gonna like me at the end of this. So let me just go ahead and get this off of my chest. Look, as an unbiased football observer, that's what I would consider myself, a football observer, an analyst, whatever you want to deem it, right? I am allowed to talk glowingly about Georgia Tech. All right. As a football observer, I am allowed to give praise to Buster Faulkner. I'm allowed to acknowledge that Georgia Tech right now is a really, really good story. I'm allowed to talk about how, wow, look at this top 25 offense. I'm allowed to heap praise on Georgia Tech. Okay. But you listen, I don't know why I did it like that. The Georgia fan, listening to this today, you are not allowed to ever say anything good about Georgia Tech. You are not allowed to ever, by God, hope that they're good. Hope that game is entertaining at the end of the year. You are never allowed to ever have that uttered out of your mouth ever. And here's why. They do not respect you. Every time they beat you, they destroy your hedges. And I know it's a bush. It ain't a bush to you. You care so much about that stuff. You love the history and the tradition of those hedges. And every time those piss yellow wearing some bitch come to your place and beat you, they tear those things up. And you have the nerve, because why? Because they ain't been good since the 90s. You have the nerve to sit there and go, oh, you know what? I don't like Florida State. I hope Georgia Tech wins this game. What? Over who? Huh? I hope that they're good? You're not allowed to say that ever. My best friend Jamie Goodman is rolling over in his not even buried grave yet. What are you doing? It sounds to me like a fan base, a portion of the fan base, who does not recall Georgia Tech ever being good. And I get that. The best versions of Georgia Tech included Reggie Ball for most Georgia fans listening to this, because we do skew a little bit younger. But what are y'all doing? Y'all not allowed to do this.
It's hard to push back on that. It really is, because you're right. Like, you never should cheer for your rival's success. You never should wish well things for them. But it's so interesting because it's such a weird dynamic how Tech has kind of gotten so relegated to this little brother perspective to where now you're at the point where they're so far behind you that Georgia fans are almost at a point of, yeah, good for you guys. Come on, make this rivalry interesting again. Please, we beg you. Georgia fans have gotten bored of beating the shit out of Georgia Tech to the point that they want Georgia Tech to be better, that they will cheer for them when they defeat a top 10 team as the only marquee game of the week, because it's just that much exciting to say, hey, at least Tech might be an exciting game this year. There's a reason to go to that. So, in a way, it's almost even more condescending and more hurtful to talk about how good it is for Tech to be good, because all it is reminding them of how much they've sucked and how irrelevant they've been in this rivalry.
And my whole thing around this was, the common response was, well, Florida State fans were so annoying this offseason. You know what? They probably were. They were a little extra this offseason, but you as a Georgia fan, you already got your dub over them. It's 63-3. That was your talking point over Florida State the entire offseason. So who cares what they're complaining about? Because you already beat them to an oblivion. Like, you already got your marking point over Florida State. And then also, like, you want Georgia Tech to be good, or you want that game to be competitive until they beat you. And until it happens, until that late game, until they beat you, then you remember, like, oh gosh, I hate Georgia Tech. Like, and people would say, well, Georgia Tech fans aren't annoying because they don't exist. Well, they don't exist until they beat you, or they don't exist until they beat Florida State. It was a top 10 team. Like, you forget how those things go and how that rivalry shakes out when two things are the same, or two things are competitive. And like, some people say the same thing about the Florida game sometimes, like, oh man, Florida, they're really dampening on this rivalry because it's not competitive anymore. You don't want your rivals to be good. You take the free dub at the end of the season every year, especially in an expanded college football playoff. You don't want the late loss. You want the free dub against Georgia Tech. Heck, you want basically an essential bye week heading into an expanded playoff. That's what you want as a Georgia fan.
You feel him ramping it up there at the end?
He's ramping it up. He's feeling it.
Yeah,
because I was with you, man. I did not understand it on Saturday. I was like, what is happening?
That was a little foos on my end.
No,
foos on the
because I had some close friends.
It does make me question. Like, I looked in our Discord, and the whole Discord's like pro Tech, and I'm like, what are y'all doing?
Well, I think it's also like Buster Faulkner was connected to Georgia, so seeing him go and succeed is kind of exciting.
I think it's 50%. A little brother syndrome, like, oh, look how cute, and you're like ruffling his hair, and you're like,
exactly
look at little man. It's part of that, and it's also partly they really like, people do not like Florida State. People are really, really enjoying Florida State taking an L.
Yeah, it's a combination of. I think if Georgia Tech name any other top 10 team, it would have probably been like, good for Tech, but that worries me now. But the fact that it was against a team that virtually no one really likes, and combined with the fact that I think Tech has gotten so little brother, and I can attest to this, walking into the stadium last year in Atlanta, I was walking down where all the frat houses are, and it's all these signs about Georgia things, and Georgia fans are walking down past Georgia Tech frat houses, and Tech fans are chirping, oh, to hell with Georgia. They were singing some weird chant, and Georgia fans are just smiling like, oh, thanks guys. Look, like, Georgia fans do not hate Georgia Tech anymore because they've become so irrelevant to them.
This don't mean much, but I went to every road game last year, and every fraternity has the signs on the fraternity house. The most disgusting and vile "I hate you" type of messaging came from Tech frat houses.
They did. Tech fans hate them so much.
They were gross. Like, it was a lot of the, obviously, the driving records and the arrest records, and there was a couple references to dead teammates and like some of the worst stuff, that comes out. So the hatred is there. You just don't. I don't think you see it. I don't think you care.
You don't.
'Cause you don't think they're ever a threat. You're like, okay,
yeah,
like they're ever coming. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
until it happens, and then you'll, like you said, until it happens, and then you're ready to just absolutely. I think the nail in the coffin for Mark Richt was a Tech loss. Yeah, one of them.
No, the nail in the coffin for Mark Richt was going to overtime against Georgia Southern.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Pooch kick, though, was brutal.
Pooch kick was brutal.
That was brutal.
Pooch kick and saving a delay of the game with the timeout, thinking you're icing the kicker, is really brutal.
Both very tough. But this is such a weird reference, but actually, no, I'm not even going to say it. But it's basically that.
Now I'm curious.
I'll say it off air.
Okay.
Ooh. But basically.
Tease. Lose the guy.
To the point of. Georgia does not fear Tech at all. And until Georgia Tech actually beats Georgia or is a top 15, top 10 team, a true threat, and it could be this season. It very well could be the season if Tech does everything well, but Georgia looks at Tech every year and goes, oh, look, there they are again. They're so mad at us, and it's going to be so fun when we go to Atlanta or they come to Athens and we win by 20, just like we've done 20 out of the last 23 times. So that's how it is. That's how the rivalry is viewed.
I really just unloaded that take from my man Unc, just so he could text me after the show and say, hey, man, I'm proud of you. I'm seeking I'm proud of you text message from him. And it will confirm he had listened 70 minutes into the broadcast, which for Unc is like, whew, man. For the rest of you guys, the retention rates here are just phenomenal. Our retention numbers are, I would say, industry standards, to be honest with you.
For sure.
I don't know of anybody that's got numbers like we do on that statistic. So thank you guys for not only showing up, but sticking around once you get here. I've always said, once you give us a try, normally you don't head anywhere else unless, I make a joke about something I'm not supposed to or something. It seems to be. And the tone sometimes gets people, depending on how much caffeine I had before the show. Welcome to our local hour. We got a load of them for you. Kirby spoke today. I got some presser notes for you. We're going to give you an injury report. We got recruiting news, positional preview of the linebacker positions in both these football games. Top 10 football players from Clemson and Georgia. Jay Will's got a stat breakdown. I'm going to tease a film study. Boys and girls, we have a jam-packed loaded local hour. We're going to start with the Kirby presser notes. You ready?
Bring him.
Have you noticed your boy's been getting first crack at the questions lately?
I actually did notice that today. Like when the all right, we'll take questions now. I was like,
I don't want to rat nobody out.
Gonna get it?
I don't want to rat nobody out. I've always had first question readiness. I've always been ready. But maybe, just maybe, there was a rule you're not allowed to give him the microphone first. Dodge him. Maybe. I don't know what happened. But I wasn't allowed first question. Now, I'm allowed first question.
My dad gave me props today. He texted me. He said, yeah, Brooks with the first question.
Yeah, it be happening nowadays. I wanted to know immediately, hey, what are you looking at? You know why I wanted to know? Because I wanted to know for your purposes. What are you studying right now? When you're looking at Clemson, how are you going about it, right? What games are you looking at? Are you looking at the last games that they played last year? Are you looking at the TV copy of the spring game? What are you studying? Why did I want to know? Well, I want to know what he's looking at so I can show you what we're going to look at. Tomorrow, we have a film study coming for you guys. We're going to be looking at Clemson's offense against Kentucky in their bowl game. I've already taken a look at basically the entire first half, and we're going to be running that down for you guys. I have initial thoughts and impressions off of that film study if we can get to it at the end of the night, depending on how much time we have available. He said he looks at their last several games, also studies the offensive coordinator's identity and the defensive coordinator's identity, but also mentioned that basically all of that goes out the window once the game starts, because it all boils down to blocking, tackling, running the football, doing all the good stuff, the fundamentals of the football game. Also mentioned if you have a new player that's an impact, he's looking at that. I've thought immediately, well, that makes the evaluation process of a team like Clemson at the start of the season a little bit easier than maybe you would be preparing for a team like Florida State, where they have 7 new starters that you have to prepare for and look at, hey, what is this guy doing at other programs? What are his individual limitations? And then you have to apply that to where his new team is. It makes it a little bit more difficult from a personnel identification standpoint when somebody's got a brand new roster. Clemson, not one of those football teams. You know who these guys are. They're relatively similar from what they were last year. So you can really identify who the individual players are. Also, by the way, they've maintained offense and defensive coordinators, so you know who their fundamental identity is on the offense and defensive side of the football. I remember doing this back in my college football days of looking at, we would even take like, hey, we played this coordinator 4 or 5 years ago when he was at a different team. We haven't seen this team under this coordinator last year. It's a new guy. So we're going to go check this coordinator's tape from when we played him back in whenever. If we've got the comparison point, you're going to search for them and find them. So an example of that, Georgia did not play Clemson last year, right? Had not played a Garrett Riley offense. Even the Georgia versus Clemson tape from 2021, not applicable. Even from an offensive philosophy standpoint, it's a Tony Elliott offense in 2021, I believe. This is a Garrett Riley offense in 2024. Well, when was the last time they played Garrett Riley? Do you remember? No. Do you remember? Pretty famous example, National Championship 2023, Garrett Riley's offensive coordinator for TCU. So how he thought he might attack you in that football game, and what he opened with, hey, maybe we study with what he thought he might be able to get away with. Obviously a completely different football team, but the same coordinator. What were his tendencies on 3rd and 2? What were his tendencies on third and long? That's what we're going to look at when he thought of breaking down our defense, how we go about, because fundamentally, we haven't changed all that much, right? How did he go about his business against us? I was asked about Cade Klubnik, quoted, really good athlete and played a lot of football. He mentioned he's a lot more comfortable and talked about him being slippery. I think that's some of the stuff that popped out in the film study from what I looked at today. Also mentioned multiple times during this press conference about how, and I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but it sounded to me like Kirby liked their offense and thought their offense was a bit more threatening when they were relying on Phil Maffa more towards the end of the last year. If you listen to his press conference today, he will talk about multiple times about how as Phil Maffa's role increased, he felt like their offense was better. All right, I thought that was interesting listening to that today. He talked about how Matt Luke coaches toughness, and this offensive line unit I thought was interesting. Had 3 returners, okay, with 25-plus starts. All right, and it made me question. Boys, this is my question today. I hear, lots of experience, lots of playing time amongst these guys. But just because you got experienced goods, does that mean you got good goods? No. That was my question. I think they're okay. I think they're above average. I don't think they're good. Okay, I don't think they're really good. I don't know why I said that like a former president. I think they're good. Anyways, Matt Luke coaches them up hard. They're going to play hard. A lot of experience. Are the goods good? That's my question. I wanted to know if he's more familiar with this roster, considering all the players they have defensively that come from this area. He wasn't going to say it. Here's what I wanted. Here's why I asked this question. It's not only that Kirby Smart and Georgia have a relationship with the in-state football players that Clemson has taken, but it's really important to know this right here. There are, I think we said 17 players on that defensive two-deep from the state of Georgia. Is that what we came away with?
I think so.
About
2 of which they absolutely felt like they had to have. What's that, 15? 15 players they essentially let walk for some reason or the other that are on that two-deep. Let me ask you this. If I know for a fact Georgia didn't offer Brandon Strozier, the backup corner for Clemson, if I know for a fact they didn't take that kid or offer that kid because they questioned the long speed, they thought his long speed, top end speed was suspect. If that kid ends up on the field, what do you think Georgia's going to do?
Try and beat him with speed.
Okay.
Speed.
If they didn't go all in, balls to the wall on a player like Sammy Brown, because they thought, I don't know, maybe Sammy Brown can't turn and run like we need him to do in this defense. Or maybe we think he's a little suspect side to side. What do you think they might do to Sammy Brown?
Try and make him run side to side.
Okay. If they didn't take Khalil Barnes, they're starting nickel because, hey, maybe we think the top end speed or the short area quickness is a little bit suspect. What do you think they might be doing to Khalil Barnes if they see him on the field, when they see him on the field?
Speed.
They might attack this is what I'm saying. This is what I think. They have a unique advantage from an unfamiliar opponent because they know, hey, we didn't take this guy because of this reason. Hey, Avion Terrell, we didn't take him because we questioned the top end, whatever. He's 5'11". He's a 4.58 runner. So maybe they identify, all right, look, we like Dylan Bell over here. Or, hey, we like Arian Smith getting him matched up on a top end speed. Bottom line, I think they have a unique advantage here because they know the unique reasons why they did not take certain football players that are going to be making impactful moments on this defense from Clemson.
I didn't even think about the inverse of it. Like thinking of it, well, they scouted these players in high school so they know their weaknesses. You kind of just think of like the bottom line, like just kind of black and white version of it is, well, they didn't take them, so it's probably not as talented of a player as on Georgia's roster, but it even goes deeper than that. So that's a good point.
That's why I make the big bucks. Bro continues to swat away the availability questions. I'm getting them right now in the chat. Brooks, Etienne, smile on done. Etienne, smile on done. Buddy, I don't know. I don't know, just like he don't know. He ain't telling us. I honestly, you want my honest opinion? 100% gun to the head. Tell me the truth, Brooks. What is it? Truth serum. I think there is an internal struggle right now. I think the athletic administration has a set of standards and the football team has a set of quality standards in terms of, hey, we trying to win. I think that's what's going on right now. I also think there's some, we're really going to be out here suspending players for dismissed charges. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing that. I think there's some of that going on too. But I think bottom line, I don't think anybody's going to know the true 100% answer until right before the football game starts with regards to those guys. He was asked a very intriguing question. I don't remember the young man's name, but I want to give him some credit, even though I didn't take the time to remember his name. Somebody asked him a question about basically, hey, coach, is it easier to advance scout Clemson because they don't have new football players on the team? Right? This football team is exactly who they were, plus the new guys that came out of high school that you are very well aware of. These guys are the same exact football team they were at the end of the last year. Is that an advantage? Kirby kind of sloughed it. I think it's a tremendous advantage. I think it's a tremendous advantage that you are not here trying to forecast what they may or may not be doing with whoever they just added to their roster. There's a tremendous advantage going into this football game for Georgia. They know who they are. They know who Clemson is. But that is also, as Kirby mentioned today, an advantage for Clemson. Clemson has a very firm identity of who they are as a football team. They know who they are. They know who their football players are. They know what guys can do well and what guys can't do well. All right, so I think that's an advantage for both teams. I know who they are. They know who they are. That's an advantage for both teams. He downplayed the Michael Williams question about a significant change. I followed up with a very similar question about such significance of said change with Michael, because we got him available in media availability today as well. Michael basically said, my role on first and second down has changed. My role on third and fourth has not. I thought that was relatively intriguing. And what I came to the conclusion of, he's going to play a little more jack on first and second down, whereas on third and fourth down, I'm getting after the Q, period, right? That was my role last year. That's my role this year. Ain't shit changed there. What has changed, maybe what I'm doing on first and second down. I thought that was relatively insightful today. He gave props to Tamarian Parker, also goes by TJ, and Peter Woods today. Mentioned that Clemson's never going to be short on the defensive side of the football with regards to toughness, talent, all that good stuff. And he mentioned they don't miss things. From a read and keys standpoint, they do not miss. They are really, really well coached. Got him to talk a little bit about Barrett Carter as well. He mentioned that he's become a really, really dominant player. But all that aside, I thought there was a very standalone moment from press conferences today that were very individual. Okay, I took this one as my own. I did a film study about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago on Clemson, okay? And this is exactly how I described Clemson's defense based off film study plays sound. What I will tell you about this football team, you're going to see a lot of man coverage, okay? A lot of man indicators all around this football field, all right? And you're also going to get a ton of pressure, all right? Not blitzes, pressure. One of these, all right, guys, 5 of these guys will come at all times, all right? You will almost always get the 4 downs, and one of these additional bodies will be joining into the mix every single snap. Even when they're playing zone, they're going to send 5. Majority of the time, based off what I've seen in this game, all right, against themselves in their base personnel packaging, what they want to be is a 5-man pressure unit with man coverage behind that. Now, all right, so there you have it, right? What did I say? They are a man-to-man defense. They're going to line up, kind of show you what they do. Also, by the way, hey, lots of pressure from this football team. They're going to put guys on the island. They're going to dedicate bodies to the box 5 at all times, maybe sometimes 6. Now, Carson Beck was made available to the media today, and I went into that knowing, hey, I need to know if I'm correct. Did I see it the way you see it? And the way I got confirmation of that was to simply ask Carson, hey, quick elevator pitch. What is the identity and philosophy of a Clemson defense based on what you have studied? Listen to Carson Beck.
Obviously, you've had some time to study and prepare for Clemson. If you could, just real briefly, how would you describe who they are from a fundamental standpoint on the defensive side of the football?
Yeah, from what I've been able to see, watching some of their games from last year and some cut-ups, is, they're going to play you straight up. They want to play man-to-man and, pressure you. They want to force the hand of the quarterback, maybe get an extra guy in the box, say, okay, like, you're not going to run the ball, like, you're going to have to throw the ball. So, how do we, manage different schemes to where we're still able to run, maybe play action pass, different pass schemes of, how can we get different matchups on different guys. So no, but they're a very talented team. They got some young guys that are gonna have some playing time for them and get in there. But they're gonna challenge you, and they're gonna be up in your face, and I'm excited for that. It's gonna be competitive.
All right, there you have it. gonna make it nice and easy what they're doing, gonna dedicate a lot of bodies to the box, gonna play a lot of man coverage. Sounds like we saw the same exact defenses on tape.
How's that feel for you?
It's just confirmation, right? Like if I asked that question and he said something completely different, I would know that either we watched different football games or I saw it wrong. All right. And if I saw it wrong, I need to go back and look. I need to go back and look again and see what's going on and reassess. But no, it's confirmation of the work that I'm doing that is correct. That we identified the same traits. And that's how easy it should be, by the way. It should be nice and clear cut defensively of who you are from a fundamental standpoint, what you are and the style of defense or offense that you play, one or the other. I should be able to rat-a-tat-tat that off in 30 seconds. I should know exactly who you are, what you're trying to do and accomplish, because the best teams dictate. I do this, you have to respond to it. Okay. Offense, defense, special teams, all that good stuff. Okay. So how does it make me feel? It makes me know that I'm on the right track. That's what it makes me feel.
It's got to be somewhat also reassuring to know that they're seeing the same exact thing that you are as a fan. Like from the fan standpoint, to know that, okay, what this guy's seeing is exactly what the Georgia coaches are seeing exactly.
Oh, you're talking about a listener of this network?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, buddy. That should put safety in who you trust your football knowledge with. But again, had I not brought this to the fans' attention as, look at me, I'm so right, I don't know if they connect those two dots, but they must, because they're here in droves. It's the only reason they do that, because they trust the opinion. But no, to me, it just confirms the work. I'm seeing the right things. If I didn't, I would feel bad about it. I would feel uneasy. Bad's the wrong word. I would feel uneasy about it. So there we go. That is the Kirby Smart press conference. You want the injury report update?
I would like the injury report update, please.
All right. Roderick Robinson is out. Surgery on turf toe. This is news to me. You guys told me that Julio Jones had surgery on his turf toe.
I want to say he did back in that 2013
How does one have surgery on a turf toe? I thought turf toe was like nerve damage, inflammation type stuff. Like you smack your foot on the ground, you stub your toe real hard, essentially, and that ends up like creating nerve damage in your toe.
He did have surgery.
Oh, I know. Julio did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were telling me Branson had surgery.
No.
Like, I know. We got that news today.
No, I was confirming that Julio Jones did indeed have surgery that year.
All right, so Julio had the surgery.
I'm Googling how you have surgery on this.
This would have been a good pre-show Google.
Too late now.
But it is what it is. By the way, still don't understand what's going on with the audio. I think what we need to do is put all of that on an editing software and then balance the sound levels before we come to show.
Oh, fumbled.
Got stuck
Ball security F.
finger, bro. Got stuck on the fingy. Oh, nailed it. Where are we at?
Talking about turf toe surgery.
Turf toe. Injury report.
Yes.
Rod, don't have a timetable on it. By the way, going to reiterate this. This man stands in front of the media. Love him to death. Love covering him. Don't take this as an offense or a shot or a look down upon the way you handle your business. But I'm going to be honest. A little bit of a liar, maybe a fibber. Fibber at best, liar at worst. Kirby Smart, want to remind the world, he told everyone he is all about injury reports coming out for the gambling audience. All about it. Hope they come out. Transparency. Love it. Hey, Coach, Rod Robinson had toe surgery? Yeah, a little bit of surgery. Severity, timetable? Don't know. Hey, so-and-so going to be available this week? I don't know. Nope. No updates. Nope. But yeah, we're all for the transparency. But we're not. We know you're not. So don't provide those quotes anymore. Next time you're asked by injury report, say, I don't want to give you nothing. Please be honest with me. Injury report. Let's get back to it. Warren Brinson back into the mix. And here's what I love about him. He'll give it to you if you ask him. Colby Young, hamstring, back in the mix. Has been back, apparently, according to Kirby. Didn't get an Xavier McLeod update. I've been told that's an abdominal thing, whatever's going on with the abdominal. I think he's going to be back. Jordan Hall's still out, and we still don't know about Etienne or Smile Mondon's availability. There we go.
What did they talk about Warren?
Yeah, he's back.
Okay, cool.
Back in the mix.
Cool.
Good to go. So, yeah. But that sounds like it's been a reoccurring injury for him.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's almost,
up.
I think he said tendonitis in the Achilles is what he diagnosed it as, which means that ain't going nowhere.
No, it's going to flare up for the rest of your career.
Relatively short injury report, though, heading
Good
into
news.
week 1.
Yeah.
I remember last Clemson game, it was like
11.
Darnell's
No
out.
idea who's going to play.
11 starters on that injury list. I look at that every year just to remind people because, like, oh my God, we're so banged up. Like, yeah, not really.
Not really.
Not really.
You're throwing the ball to some guy named Brock Bowers.
Hmm?
I said
Yeah,
they
you're
were throwing the
throwing
ball to some guy named Brock
Got a
Bowers.
freshman at tight end. Oh, God.
Pretty clean injury report. That being said, there's probably somebody that we don't know about.
Sure.
That's probably
sure.
hampered during practice right now that everybody's keeping underneath the wraps. So there you go on that one. Should we talk about recruiting news? There's been some good ones lately.
Let's talk about recruiting news.
Trying to decide if we need to slow down, but I think we're good. Let's
we're
hit
good.
this recruiting news. Told you a little while back, Christian Garrett more than likely going to end up flipping to Georgia Tech. He made official today. And this always, when you say this afterwards, people think you're doing he's what do you call it? He's
Covering, I don't know.
covering, caping,
Yeah.
making an excuse, cope harder, right? They say that kind of stuff. But if you recall, when Christian Garrett first committed to the University of Georgia, do you guys remember my immediate response to the commitment? While we were doing film, I said, hey, that's okay. I think is what I said.
I think it was like
the vibe.
Yeah, not
Like,
really
that's
blown
okay.
away.
Good depth piece.
Yeah.
I think is what I said. Hey, this guy's going to come in, good solid addition to the room. You need bodies, no different than what you did the year before with my man out of Kennesaw, not Mountain, my man out of Justin Green. Same situation. Like, hey, really good football player, in-state guy. Let's take him. He wants to be a dog. Let's take him. I thought that was the situation with Christian Garrett. He decommits. I said, hey, probably going to end up at Tech because here's the deal. A guy, the guy. Here, you're a guy. Here, you're the guy. You're a defensive tackle. Go be the guy at Georgia Tech. That's exactly what happened today. I don't think this is major news.
Oh, I mean, it's major news for Georgia Tech because
Huge news for Georgia
it feels
Tech.
like Uncle Mo creeping on with them. You get a big dub on Saturday. You follow that up with a big recruit coming to your
Shout out
school.
Uncle Mo.
Just a couple of weeks after Josh Petty commits to your school, Uncle Mo creeping up on Georgia Tech on the recruiting trail and in the win column.
Yeah, I think this plays back into the rivalry we talked about earlier where Georgia Tech is over here celebrating this and Georgia's kind of like, oh, you know, good for Tech. You know, this he's going to be a great player for them.
Honestly, when Brent first got the job and first thing he did was hire a bunch of in-state dudes. Like he went out, his analyst staff is filled with a bunch of like really good retired high school football coaches that have relationships in the state. And Georgia State would always frustrate me this way, and Georgia Tech especially would always frustrate me this way. There is no reason South Carolina, or it may be Clemson, but there is no reason South Carolina or Kentucky or any middling SEC program should ever come into this state and steal football players from you. They should not be stealing high-rated 3 stars, low-rated 4 stars from Georgia Tech. They shouldn't. Every 5-star can play at Georgia. Not every 4-star can. There are a bunch of really, really good players ever since Kirby has gotten here, and even before then, there were really, really good football players that weren't good enough to play at Georgia, but were damn sure good enough to start at Georgia Tech, that they just let go elsewhere, that they just let walk away, and they felt like they didn't have the ability or the resources to go get those kids, and now they're doing that. They're recruiting really competitively inside the state. It's making guys like Damola Adujahan realize Georgia likes you, we love you. By the way, I said this a couple weeks ago, it's the exact same recruiting strategy Clemson's had. Georgia likes you, we love you. We love you. We really do. Come play for us. Georgia Tech needs to be doing this a whole lot more. They need to be doing this, and it sounds like they are. It seems like they are.
Yeah, it's a bigger deal for Georgia Tech because it's important for them to set a precedence in the state because that's where you're rooted at. That's where you need to be. And I mean, the bed of talent that there is in the state of Georgia, too, around your program, too. I'm not even talking about like from border to border. I mean, just around your school, there's so much talent. So it's important for them to set a precedence. Not necessarily that important for Clemson to be asserting their presence in that manner here.
Yeah, again, like, it's not that important to Georgia, I don't think. So
I would argue that if Damola and Christian happen every class, it does matter.
right. And
You're
that's
looking for another body right now at defensive tackle.
right.
Like the Braxton Lyle kid got onto the board because Christian Garrett is off of it. And I personally, I just told you I thought Christian Garrett was a depth piece. If they take the Braxton Kyle kid, I like Christian Garrett a whole lot more than I like Braxton Kyle.
That's fair.
And this is the impact because you're going to take another body. They're actively seeking another defensive tackle, knowing that Elijah Griffin and Justice Terry are in the fold, or at least heavily in the fold.
But do you not think that they'll be able to find that other body elsewhere? Even if it's not in the state of Georgia?
I think they're prioritizing the in-state body, though.
I agree with that. I mean,
actually, I know they're prioritizing the in-state body.
Makes sense.
Where were we at?
Recruiting news.
Ethan Barbour, that play he made to finish that game off against American Heritage.
Good Lord.
Oh my God. That was some speed, dude.
And I didn't watch the game, but from what I was seeing about the game, it sounded like Milton had an opportunity to kind of milk the clock, and then they soiled it away, and then that was kind of the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that was to put them up 10, game over with 2.5 minutes left. The primary takeaway I have about Ethan is that he's lost a good bit of weight transitioning over from Alpharetta to Milton, and the reason being they're playing him more as like a traditional wide receiver and having him do H-back move tight end roles. This is a prime example of it. In one rep, he'll be out there playing Z receiver, okay, outside the numbers. The next rep, he's sitting behind the tackle in a 2-point stance and, run blocking, running counter, doing like all of the real tight end H-back stuff while also being a separation creator at wide receiver. And I would say he's probably 212 pounds right now, 215. He's going to need to play in college at like 230.
Yeah,
he's going to look totally different. I wouldn't say it's easy. It's 15, 20 pounds. So he's going to have to put on. But man, he looked explosive in that clip.
But looking at his frame, like there's weight to be put on there.
Yeah. But it's not like Elias Williams.
No,
frame.
It's not.
I mean, he's compact. He's 6'3" and a quarter.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's got 33-inch arms, maybe. Mm-hmm. But this ain't like, we ain't got all the room in the world to be packing on pounds.
Right.
This is a compact individual at 210 already. I think he's going to play at 225, 230. Mm-hmm. I don't ever want Ethan Barbour playing at 240.
No, you don't.
So we got some room for growth and some needed weight, but not a ton. But again, I think he's not. I know he's trimmed his body down tremendously since he got there. Y'all saw that play though.
Yeah.
What a play call, by the way.
Do you think it's on his huddle yet? Can we show
friend of the show, OC? It's probably not on his huddle. You think Ethan Barbour is making highlights? I wouldn't.
I don't know.
If you're Ethan Barbour, committed to Georgia, top 100 player, you making week-to-week highlights?
Maybe.
Probably not.
Probably not.
I'm going to go ahead and say probably not. More recruiting news. I saw Shane Marshall this week.
How was that?
What'd you think about that?
My favorite part about driving down I-75 is the random ass signs that you see, the marketing signs. Did you know that the Peach Spa in Perry, Georgia is under new management?
What?
I know. Groundbreaking.
I had no idea.
New management. I didn't know how the old management even survived. Enough to have a billboard?
Is it like a literal peach spa, or is it just?
I don't know. I didn't stop and ask. I don't know if they massage you with like peach related oils, or maybe they put peaches on your eyes while they're giving you the spa, or maybe giving you the spa. Maybe the spa just has a peach aroma, or maybe it's just named the Peach Spa because it's in Perry, Georgia, home of the peaches. Either way.
Peach State.
A lot of Bucky signs. The sex store down there gets a lot of love from the billboards too.
Yeah.
Adult sex store. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head the exit number, but there is an exit down there with a sex store, and you know it for a fact. I would say they spend far more on billboards and marketing than they actually do rent of their own store.
Yeah. You got to wonder how much the clientele is like. Hey,
it's all truckers,
let's
right?
go look at this.
All truckers.
Probably.
So much so that on most of the signs, they even advertise the trucking parking.
Definitely.
So got to be truckers.
Gotta be.
Buying some nudie magazine days.
I think they're buying other things.
People still buying nudie mags.
Ways to pass the time, if you will.
Yeah, I feel
What do you
that.
mean?
But anyways, as a football player, Shane Marshall, I would 100% take that individual. I was harping on the wing T teams. Irwin County, a wing T team, but they do so without making me feel like I'm watching paint dry. They do it out of shotgun. They do it out of spread tee.
Yeah.
They do it out of wishbone. They do it out of broken bone. They play real like modern football out of the wing tee. I like that. I like that. Shout out to Irwin County. A lot of twitch in this individual. You see a guy playing B-back and you really wonder about like, hey, he's playing B-back in high school. Like, does he have the short area quickness? I very much so get Dejon Edwards vibes from this one, where maybe he's a late class take. Maybe you struck out other places. Maybe it was expensive other places. And you settle for a guy who all he is really, really freaking good for you for 4 years. I'd take that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would 100% take
For
that.
sure.
And the balance between he and Bo Walker, I think, would be really, really solid.
I think a lot of Georgia fans would sign up for 4 more years of a Dejon Walker. Or
4
Dejon
more
Edwards.
years. Yeah. Give me some 4 more years of Dejon. Different styles, I think, completely different styles, but similar types of arc. By the way, I think Shane, his recruitment would be a lot bigger. People would know about him a lot more. He would not be a Minnesota commit for 2 reasons. If 2 different things changed, he does play single A public football. That is a real thing. He plays single A football in Georgia, where we talk a whole lot about 6 and 7A, especially at the running back position. And the other thing is, he got hurt. He got hurt as a junior, didn't play a lot of football last year, and has fully come back and is fully healthy now. So those are good things for Shane. I would 100% take that individual and add him into my class. Other recruiting news: Justice Terry and Elijah Griffin will be in town for the Chick-fil-A game, or Athletic Kickoff. Kickoff game.
Is that on their own accord, or is that?
I think they changed the rule a couple years back where you can allot tickets.
You can, but it's not like a visit of any sorts, is it?
No, it's an unofficial. It does not count as an unofficial visit.
And I saw where Justice Terry will also be at the Alabama-Georgia game, which makes sense.
Who won't be?
Yeah, right? Who would want to go to that football game?
Yeah, I would imagine everyone's there. Just no different than like, I think Texas A&M has 100 4 and 5 stars on campus this week.
Good Lord.
They should.
Texas A&M Notre Dame.
They're the only really good game outside of this one. And the only really good game on home turf where you can actually take a visit.
Florida's got a good game.
That's right. Florida, Miami.
USC, LSU, but that was also at a neutral
that's
site.
in Vegas.
But Miami, Florida, that's a good home football game.
I agree. All right, let's do it. Top 10 football players of all time. Ooh. Now, here's how this is going to work. This is a combination. This is a combination if Clemson and Georgia's rosters were one. All right, so we're not ranking top 10 football players from this rivalry, top 10 football players in these individual matchups, games, whatever. These are top 10 football players of all time from both of these universities combined. Who wants to start?
I'll go first.
Okay. I was going to go ahead and jump on that, but go ahead.
Do you want to
No,
first
you got it.
Don't soil this opportunity. What are you doing?
Please. Oh, yeah, by the way, Ryan Montgomery out for the season, torn ACL. It was on the notes. I forgot to hit it.
That's tough.
It is tough. He'll bounce back.
Do we want to all just say number 1 really quickly on the count of 3?
1, 2, 3. Herschel Walker. All right, go ahead.
Herschel Walker, number 1. Number 2, I went Champ Bailey.
Ooh, that was quick.
Just for the versatility. Yeah, that sounded bad. Versatility and what he did in his NFL career. Like, he's one of the more iconic college football players. He put up similar numbers to Charles Woodson his Heisman season. The only problem was Georgia was like 6-6 that year. So, legendary college football player. Number 3, Brock Bowers, the GOAT of all GOATs when it comes to tight ends in college football. Oh, he left it off.
You might have wanted to keep that without making audible gasp.
He left it off.
Damn.
James going to put Brock Bowers OLI.
Should have muted the mic.
I can't mute this one.
So Brock Bowers number 3. Number 4, I had to get a Clemson player in there. Why not?
The first time that individual's been fired this season.
Dang. Why not one of the most iconic, legendary safeties in the NFL, Brian Dawkins? You didn't know he went to Clemson, did you?
Not until pre-show. Yeah. I would have found it out because the first thing I did was Google top 10 Clemson players because it's not like I'm in depth with the Clemson knowledge.
Yeah, neither am I. Number 5, Todd Gurley. I think he's one of the most versatile backs I've seen growing up. I mean, Sonny Michel, Nick Chubb are great, but I think Todd Gurley was in a league of his own in his time. Number 6, David Pollock. David Pollock, especially for what he did during the Georgia-Clemson games. I know that wasn't a
category.
Yeah, criteria for it, but he made some massive plays. The interception in the red zone was big. Pretty much gave Georgia the win in 2002, I believe. Yep. So David Pollock's in there. Another NFL legend at number 7, William Perry, the Fridge.
Hot take. William Perry, kind of an overrated football player.
You think so?
I mean, had it not been for the goal line stands, like how many all pros William Perry make? Will you Google that for me?
Yeah.
Now, if you turn around and tell me William the Perry Fridge was the best nose tackle in college football or professional football for 10 years, I'll shut up. But I ain't seen highlights of the Fridge being the Fridge. I see him highlights of diving over the end zone for a short line goal.
Well, all right, maybe he's
to be honest,
maybe his NFL career, but from what I've read, he was a menace at Clemson. So
yeah, there's no accolades in the NFL. It's all college.
Yeah.
In fact, the WWE Hall of Fame is on there and not an NFL accolade.
Fridge. But
confirmed take.
This is for college careers, correct?
Okay.
So, I mean, William Perry deserves a spot in there. Number 8 and 9, Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel. I mean, running back legends, some of the best to ever do it. Best college football duo at the running back position, kind of easy there. And then number 10, I think one of the best Clemson quarterbacks, probably the best college football quarterback we've seen, top 5 at least in the last 10 years, Trevor Lawrence.
Oh my God, you got 2,800 yard average guy in the list. That's crazy to me.
What do you mean average?
I think another hot take here, Trevor Lawrence's college career, completely overrated. Look it up. Look at the statistical production from Trevor Lawrence. People made fun of Stetson Bennett's career and him sitting up there in New York. Buddy, Stetson Bennett's statistical production dwarfs Trevor Lawrence. I don't think Trevor Lawrence threw for more than 3,200 yards in a single season.
To be fair, Trevor Lawrence also didn't take over till midway through his freshman year and had a shortened 2020 season.
To be fair, I just gave you full statistical seasons in which he did not throw for more than 3,200 yards.
It's because he won a national title as a freshman.
That's and what he was great as a freshman.
Yeah.
And it's that long run against Ohio State, and it's the number 1 overall pick, and it's everyone telling him he has been great, and he was really, really clean as a pro prospect. But I'm just saying,
but we're talking talent.
We are, but we're also talking greatest of all time, and he's not even the greatest quarterback in the Dabo Swinney regime, in my opinion. So,
whoa,
let's just do that.
That's interesting.
Because Deshaun Watson threw for more than 4,000 yards in a season.
No, I'd agree with that. I think that's a fair statement.
But like I said, Trevor Lawrence had shortened seasons. I think he got injured in 2019.
Here comes my list. Number 10, Stetson Bennett.
I got it. You know what?
10.
Stop. I have an OLI.
OLI. Stole the first round of lists and is going to give an OLI.
Went leadoff and stole my gimmick of OLI.
Give me some OLI.
Piss on your parade.
God dang, you want your name on the wall, son?
Please.
I'm just kidding.
Sammy Watkins, OLI for sure. One of Clemson's better receivers. Also probably the more productive out of that group. Grady Jarrett, menace on the defensive line. And then number 3, AJ Green. I had to put a Georgia receiver in there. So those are my OLIs.
I just got to confirm my theories here.
On Trevor Lawrence?
It's been a while since I dug up these. Oh, yeah, 3,600 year 2. That's on me. Wow. Real scared of the 3,600-yard season he had. Oh, it's real big stat production there.
I think he was injured for 4 games.
Hey, buddy. It's trash Trevor Lawrence time. Okay, I don't want your fact-based opinions coming over here into trash.
My bad.
Trash Trevor Lawrence time. Number 10 on my list. No OLI needed. If I needed it, Trevor Lawrence would be on it. Number 10, Stetson Bennett, the true greater quarterback of the discussion between Stetson Bennett and Trevor Lawrence in the collegiate discussions. Number 9 was D-Hop on your list. DeAndre Hopkins making mine. Number 8, D-Hop to B-Doc. Brian Dawkins making the list. Shout out to you guys. David Pollock, I'm sorry, you came in at number 7, and then I forgot about Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, number 7. Number 6, Roquan Smith. Number 5, Champ Bailey. Okay, I liked Champ at number 2. I almost put Champ at number 2 on my list. He comes in at number 5 for me. Number 4, give me Chubb. Number 3, Deshaun Watson. Number 2, I'm a Gurley over Chubb guy myself. Give me Gurley there. Number 1, Herschel Walker.
I like that.
Amen.
I'll go ahead and say this too. The reason I didn't put Roquan Smith,
fucking Fridge on the list. Get out of here.
Dude, you got to put some Clemson players on there. And William Perry was a menace.
You went gimmick. I get it.
You mean gimmick? No. Don't do this where you undermine things. No, I'm not gonna let you.
Hey, I'm just saying, man.
I didn't
Trevor
put
Lawrence on the list. No Stetson. Fridge. What's up?
I got a top 10. I'm going to give right now. Number 10 for me is Grady Jarrett. I think he's translated. He was great in college. He's obviously translated into the pros as well.
I get it.
Yeah, absolutely. But he was also good in college. Roquan Smith came in at number the next one for me. It's hard to put together any type of list for Georgia when you're talking about greats and not have Roquan Smith on this list. Number 8, I have Sammy Watkins. You put him on the OLI. I put him on my list. He had a great college career. Mm-hmm. He had 1,400 yards his first year. Then I think he followed it up with 1,300 in his second, or 1,200 in his third year. Number 7, I have Trevor Lawrence. I think he does belong on this list. If we're talking talented, I think that Trevor Lawrence absolutely belongs on this list. Number 6, I have David Pollock. Number 5, Nick Chubb. I mean, in and of itself, Nick Chubb coming out party against Clemson. I mean, he
lost a shoe.
Yeah, I mean, he just did it all that game. It was a pretty fun watch. Brock Bowers comes in at number 4 for me. Todd Gurley right ahead of him at number 3. Deshaun Watson number 2, and then Herschel Walker at number 1.
Very fair.
You had no Deshaun and a Trevor mention.
Yeah.
Fired.
I with the troubling recency of Deshaun, I didn't want to put him on the list.
Oh. That's fair.
Wow.
But maybe I could massage him in
Really
there.
making us look bad.
You need to find a way to
Massage him in the list a little bit.
I was a little heavy-handed on that massage. That was what do you call that type of massage where they really deep tissue?
Deep tissue.
That joke was deep tissued massaged in there. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate and review. Jay Will, you had some stats for us today, and you worked really hard on them, so I want to bring this to the audience's attention.
Yeah, I started doing this last season. I wanted to start doing some stat breakdowns for every single matchup going into every single week for Georgia, and they were a great success. People really enjoyed them. Great success, and people seemed to really enjoy them. So, of course, I was going to bring them back this year. So I did, I think, 20 posts of its Twitter thread of different stats going into this football game. Wanted to bring some of my favorite ones onto the show today.
So as he's reading this, Curb, send us to 2 so the audience can see what he's talking about.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Alrighty, so for the first one, since 2020, Clemson is 4-8 in games in which their opponent scores 28 or more points. Clemson lost those games by an average of 13 points. Since 2020, Georgia has scored 28 or more points in 42 out of 54 games. They only lost one of those games. UGA is 9-3 in games they didn't score 28 or more.
So what you're telling me is Clemson, really bad when teams score more than 28 points.
Yes.
Georgia scores more than 28 points lots of times.
A lot of times.
And they win when they
And even when they don't, they still tend to win.
Georgia win lot games.
Yeah, Georgia win lot games, but
Georgia win lot games. Clemson, when they score or allow lot points, they don't win lot games.
I think in our predictions, I know they were a couple weeks ago, so maybe some things changes, but I think a couple weeks ago when we did our predictions, we all predicted Georgia to score more than 28 points. So given that, I think you have to press the arrow on the right side of the screen. It's not there. Just tap it on the right side. No, it just tap the screen on the right side. Just tap the screen on the right side. No.
What are we doing here, bud? What are we doing here, bud? He did it for me. All right, my bad. Little in-show production right there.
Anybody that has tried to teach their grandpa how to use their phone just witnessed what that moment looks like.
Out, bro.
Just tap the screen. Just tap the screen.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh, that was great. All right, the next one. Over his career, Kirby Smart is 18-8 in one-score football games. Prior to last season's SEC championship game loss, Kirby Smart had not lost a one-score football game since 2019. Dabo Swinney in his career is 40-22 in one-score football games. Since 2020, he is 13-7.
I mean, dude can't have but like 30 career losses, right?
Kirby?
No, Dabo.
A lot of the majority of them were one-score losses.
He's either winning or losing closely.
Yeah, so the point of bringing this one up was even if Georgia doesn't score 28 points and they blow them out necessarily, in these close football games, you still give the edge to Georgia in these moments because Kirby Smart pulls out wins in close games. Dabo, kind of 50-50, and especially as of late, still kind of remained on that trend of 50-50.
I wonder how many of those 8 losses I can name.
Come on, Bama 3 times.
No, Bama once.
Bama
once, Tennessee 2016, Vanderbilt 2016, Georgia Tech 2016, South Carolina 2019. Who'd you lose to in 2018? LSU was not a one-score game. Bama 2018. 2017 was Bama. I already named that. 2020 was no one. You didn't.
This is great radio.
Yeah, it is. 2022 was all right.
There's another Bama game in there.
Okay,
you got 5 of the 8.
It's not bad. Off the dome,
pretty
not
good.
bad.
Not bad off the.
I'll give you your props for that.
All right. So stat conclusion: Georgia win lot close games. Clemson lose more close game.
Yes.
Okay.
Caveman Brooks.
I like to Caveman Brooks.
Now we know why you didn't know how to work the TV.
Really, really hard.
He needs to be a recurring character, Caveman Brooks.
We're more on the right side. There you go. Look at him.
Figure out my own technology.
Look
I spend
at
lots
him.
of money on. All right. Explain next stat, please.
This is probably my favorite one that I pulled. In 2023, UGA averaged 7.26 yards per play on offense, which ranked 4th in the country. It would have led the SEC every other year since 2010, except for 4 of them. Clemson averaged 5.25 yards per play, which ranked 96th. Only 16 Power 4 teams ranked behind them, the second worst average under Dabo since 2011.
So, in conclusion, Georgia, make good offense play more often. Clemson, not good, make offense play.
When do you think the worst average happened?
Down here?
Yeah.
In Clemson?
Yeah. You would think it'd be the earlier years of Dabo. It was actually recently.
Really?
I'm going to say it was
2021.
I was going to say
DJU
21, yeah.
Yeah.
DJU year.
Yeah. So
What's also really interesting about this statistic, Clemson being that bad at offensive yards per play, ran the most number of plays per game last year of any team in the country.
they were playing fast and they were bad at
They were playing really poorly fast.
Love that.
Kind of like I played golf the other day. Played a round really, really quickly, but I sprayed it everywhere.
Yeah. What was your analogy to that?
On air? You want
Maybe
God,
not.
You want this on air? It was probably one of my best analogies ever.
It was pretty
honestly
good.
It was almost as good as never mind. They watch the show too often.
We had another one.
We had another one? Oh, we got another
Cutting my
stat.
segment
I can't be
short?
cutting the segment short. That's
Oh
on
my
me, dog.
gosh. What are you
I'm out
doing
here.
to me?
I'm out here hating. Oh, it's a good one too. It's nice and long.
Yeah.
Explain this one to me, dum dum.
Yeah.
Me, dum dum. Explain smart stat.
All right. Against 5 ranked opponents last season, Carson Beck threw for 1,304 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 1 interception, and completed 72.4% of his passes. Klubnik, on the other hand, against 3 ranked opponents in 2003, threw for 655 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and completed 62.3% of his passes. Carson Beck last season was the only quarterback in the country to complete over 70% of his balls against ranked opponents with more than 130 attempts.
Carson Beck, good versus good teams.
Yes.
Cade Klubnik, mediocre versus good teams.
Yes.
That's what we're
Good
getting
job.
at. 62.3%, not too far off of his average, right?
Yeah, that's kind of where he sits.
Yeah, both these guys pretty much perform like they perform.
The only other thing that was kind of glaring was obviously 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And even in road games, I believe his splits was 7 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Ooh. So, and that includes neutral sites.
Quite a bit, huh?
Yeah, that includes neutral site games too.
He's got to. We can talk about this. We got time. We got some general film observation time here. I want to talk about this because we're gonna record a film study tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning. Gonna have that out available for you tomorrow evening before our live show is the plan here. And I got to tell you, I would not even invite. I would beg Cade Klubnik to use his legs. When he becomes a mobile threat as a quarterback throwing the ball, he tends to put the ball at risk, like quite a bit. Unless it's a designed rollout, this man will put the ball at risk. He did it in the spring game. He did it relatively often against Kentucky. For some reason, he just has a tendency to put the ball at risk when he's outside the pocket trying to create. The other thing about him, boy, he is shattered glass in open field. I mean, this is Jaden Daniels type of running styles in terms of runs very tall and upright, runs very gangly. Okay,
Yeah.
These do not look like athletic movements. They look like big, tall, long. He looks big, tall, and long when he's running, even though he's not super big, tall, and long. It just looks like that when he's out in open space. And he gets hit really, really hard. Okay, so what's up?
So like you're going to hear Looney Tunes sound effects when he's running.
Yeah. I mean, he is quick though. Do not get me wrong. He is a good athlete. All right. Kirby mentioned he is very slippery today. That being said, he's slippery upon getting out of the pocket. Once he's in open field, he's a hit stick waiting to happen, in my opinion. This is not somebody who avoids hits. This is not somebody who avoids contact. He competes to almost a negative in that aspect of performing and protecting his body. The other thing, you better get ready for counter. Counter. They're going to run a bunch of it. Okay, a bunch of it. Against Kentucky, I thought the offensive line held up a little bit better than I thought they would. However, I think they are limited athletically from an offensive line standpoint. Laterally, I think these guys really struggle. And when you struggle laterally, Georgia pretty much exposes you on that offensive line. We've learned that year over year, time after time. The best way to handle what Georgia has defensive line-wise is to have superior athletes, or at least supreme athletes, I should say, on the offensive line. So those are just general takeaways of what they do offensively. I'll have a very, very detailed breakdown for you coming tomorrow.
So from just initially what you've seen, does it seem like Clemson's, and I'll be fair and say it, weakness on offense is more talent and execution based, or is it scheme based?
I thought the scheme was fresh, to be honest with you. Like watching it, there was a couple things that really made sense to me. I also love that when this football team finds something that works in the middle of a football game, they're not going to steer away from it. Like, for example, they were gashing Kentucky running counter to the tight. Okay, so the tight end would be attached. They were running counter to the tight, pulling the backside tackle and the backside guard, and making it really, really added to the short side of the field numbers count, essentially. And they were having success. They got to that same exact run scheme, that same counter to the tight, 5 or 6 different ways just in the first 3 quarters of that football game that I studied before the show tonight. So I really, really like when coordinators not only find what's working, but find new ways to get to that thing that's working. So I like the scheme. It's a matter of execution for me.
Gotcha.
And I hate the weapons. Hate's a strong word. I don't think they have very good weaponry.
Not favorable.
No, and I also think, and I know he was a young starter last year, and it's going to be year two as a full-time starter for him. There were obvious misses. Turn downs. Why are you looking at the Dover? We should be reading the vert to the Dover. Like obvious signs of, hey, your coordinator was trying to get you a winner here. You chose to go otherwise. I as a coordinator, miscues are one thing, turn downs are another. If I design a winner for you and you turned it down, man, you're really hindering my ability as a coordinator. I'm going to steer away from those concepts. Also, really mesh-driven. Whole offense predicates passing-wise off of mesh. You're going to see a lot of that in the film study. Lots of mesh. They're going to run 2 guys, and then they're going to run vertical concepts off of that. So there you go.
Tampa 2.
Boom.
We good?
I think I'm good.
Live show September 7th. If you're in town, I'll see you at Creature Comforts. If you're into film study, we'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. If you're into this kind of stuff, we'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We'll definitely see you tomorrow, though. Love you. Bye.